City of New Britannia. Have a look at my case. The case of the purloined progeny. Charles Harris, infant son of the heir to Harris Construction Company, has been kidnapped. Who did it and where did they take the child? So, I've had a couple of looks around the Harris household. Once under the influence of a soporific, which was entertaining, and once stone cold sober. So, from clues found previously, I found a piece of fabric with SS on it. I've got to speak with Arthur Devins at the Harris Construction Yard. The husband of the household is in deep with a moneylender called Mr. LaFay. So I've got to have a chat with him. And I've got to speak to Linda Walker at the Spectre Society, and I think we may just have figured out what SS stands for. Because the baby's nanny is a firm, true believer in spiritualism. In this setting, I have no idea if that's genuine or not. Not that it exists, obviously it does, but whether it's actually ghoulies and ghosties, because my detective is haunted by the spirit of his deceased partner. I think. I'm reasonably sure he isn't that insane. But with this game, I'm not 100%. So, where shall we go first? Home? Spectre Society? The Ruin Coffee House we're not going to, that's where I get my jobs. Harris Construction Yard? Oh, it's a Zeppelin! Right. Or the Lending Office, which is a really polite way of saying Leg Breakers Incorporated, I think. Okay. Incoming! Right, now I've got She Looks Good in Ribbons. I always feel there must be a massive disappointment if you're coming off the adrenaline of Night Stream and you come to my slightly subdued chill out zone. Hello, Night Raiders! Welcome to the stream. Welcome to a slightly more relaxed stream than Nights. I like to do in this slot, I like to do story based, I like to do investigation, I like to do adventure. Yes, these people all look strangely familiar. It's always nice to see, just in case you get newbies turn up. So, we're back on Lamplight City at the moment. So, a Gabriel Knight-esque point-and-click murder mystery. That's going very well, Prissy Smith. Nice to see you. I'll see you, everybody. Thank you very much. So, do we go to the dodgy moneylender? We're investigating a kidnapped kid. The construction yard owned by the family of the kidnapped child. Or the Spectre Society, which is as dodgy as all get out. I think the old lady probably did. Thank you, Fish. Thank you so much. Let's get my extra badges sorted out so you've got special ones. Right, so, I'm thinking Spectre Society. What the hell? The odds are good I'm going to have to be visiting all of these places multiple times anyway, so...
Too dark to tell what's inside. They must enjoy the somber atmosphere.
And thank you, Knight. I got the alerts, but Techie didn't say anything. Interesting.
Too dark to tell what's inside.
Well, that's no help, dear.
Yes?
Okay, Knight.
May I help you?
Oh, good God, what have you got on your head? Did it put up much of a fight? Mind you, I know I can talk today. Fishy, you're all appreciated. God knows I need the help these days. Okay, I'm Miles Fordham. I want to ask you a few questions. I'm interested in joining the Spectre Society. I'm not sure I'm that good a liar. Wrong house, never mind. I'm Miles Fordham. I wanted to ask you a few questions. Let's start off honestly and see what happens.
Hello, ma'am. My name's Miles Fordham, and I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Are you with the police?
No, I'm a private investigator.
I'm terribly sorry, darling, but I simply don't have the time right now.
I think
perhaps if you come back next week, I'll be able to answer your questions then.
So, honesty doesn't really work.
This is the Spectre Society, right? I'm interested in joining.
Ah, yes it is. Welcome, darling.
Oh, okay.
Our membership process is a bit different to most social clubs. We require a sponsor.
Sounds simple enough.
Well, you see, we ask that sponsors be people who have passed on into the spirit world. Once you name your sponsor, I will attempt communication beyond the ether. When they answer, you will be judged and considered for membership.
Right. This could be awkward.
What are you looking for in a sponsor?
A willingness to communicate from beyond the ether. Open-mindedness, a desire for truth. In other words, all the qualities of a member of the Spectre Society. Actually, we've had former members who have passed on act as sponsors before.
Yeah.
I've got a sponsor.
Excellent. What is the name of your sponsor, darling?
Bill Ledger.
Bill Legere is my sponsor.
Seriously, Fordham? I thought you knew better than that.
Bill Legere. Very well, I will attempt to communicate with him.
She can do this all day. It's not gonna work.
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble communicating.
Damn.
Perhaps you can come back and try again later.
Okay.
See? Told you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
See, I'm borderline on whether or not Miles is bonkers as a result of survivor's guilt because he shot his partner by accident. Not actors I recognise. They are sort of... Oh yeah, the voice is his dead partner, Bill, but yeah, as I said, I'm not sure whether or not Miles is nuts, and therefore hearing in his head the voice of his dead partner through survivor's guilt. His partner keeps insisting that they try and find out who actually killed him, because it all got a little bit hazy. Or whether Miles is genuinely haunted by his dead partner, and this is a Randall and Hopkirk thing. The partner appears to be a bit reticent to talk to anybody except Miles. So yeah, it's a 50-50 whether it's a ghost or a delusion, but it works quite nicely either way. It does give me really strong Gabriel Knight vibes.
Oh, hello again. How may I help you?
I'd like to name a new sponsor.
I'd like to name a new sponsor.
Mainly because
Yes, of course. Who is your new sponsor?
I haven't the faintest idea who that is.
Jonathan Davis is my sponsor.
You knew Jonathan? He was such a kind man.
Oh God, the husband of the nanny!
Yes, I can feel his presence, and it speaks positively of you. Please, come in, Mr. Fordham. I am Angela Maxwell, the founder of the Spectre Society. Welcome.
Still don't know what you have on your head.
May I offer you some refreshments? Some water or tea, perhaps?
You're very kind, but I'm afraid I must decline right now.
Well, please let me know if you change your mind.
Would you look at this place? It's like a candy store for psychics.
May I just say, madam, that you have a spectacularly creepy home. Yikes.
There's quite a few members in this group.
Well, I don't think she's going to like that. Angela Maxwell, Monica Brown, Sophia Shaw, Thomas Gilbert, Linda Walker. Hello.
There's quite a few members in this.
I know. Davis. Angela, the meeting was wonderful. Anyone interested in a used spirit board, please let Thomas know. Linda, looking forward to having you at the Manor next week. Come around 8 PM and you can meet Charlie. Please ask the spirits to cure my son's illness. So, Henrietta Davis owns a manor and is inviting Linda Walker to her place at 8 o'clock. Linda Walker's the person I'm here to try and find. So, surprisingly,
those are some creepy twin girls. I could see a passing resemblance to Miss Maxwell, actually. A great man once said to me, Bill, you aren't going to get very far in life just staring at balls. He's dead now. But then again, so am I.
Fair enough.
I think I've seen one of these before. What does it do?
It's a spirit board. We use it to contact spirits, and they in turn spell out a message with the letters on the board.
Well, I've got a message from Miss Maxwell if she ever tries to use a spirit board around me.
I have a message for some spirits I'd love to contact. Mr. James Beam.
Ooh, spooky. That ghost between the two people almost manages to look convincing. That's probably the storage case for the spirit board.
Okay.
What a fascinating device. Exactly what does it do?
That is an etherometer. It's designed to pick up vibrations from the ether and translate messages from the spirits.
Fair enough. We know that ethericity is a thing in this setting.
The plaque says Leonora Pattinson, seer. She looks like someone I would not want to fool around with.
What have we got in the bookcase? Members are free to borrow books as long as you check with me first.
It's nice of Miss Maxwell to let people borrow her books, even if they are all just a bunch of nonsense. And coming from me, that's really saying something.
Astral projection. Okay. Willful out-of-body experience in which the soul or astral body disconnects from the physical body and may travel throughout the universe. I've seen Doctor Strange. I know how this works. Okay. Etheric body is usually not always invisible, but is often perceived by the experiment as connected to the physical body during separation by a silver cord. Some link falling dreams with projection. Other experiments may describe a domain that has no parallel to any known physical setting. Environments may be populated or unpopulated, artificial, natural, or abstract, and the experience may be beatific, horrific, or neutral. Common theosophical belief is one may access a compendium of mystical knowledge called the Akashic Records. Many accounts the experiencer correlates the astral world with the world of dreams. Well, okie dokie. What? Metempsychosis. What? Transmigration of the soul at the time of death. Reincarnation of a soul in another human or animal. Okay. It is proclaimed that the body and soul were two separate entities chained together in life. Upon death, this bond was dissolved and the divine soul freed from its corporeal prison. However, until the soul attained absolute purity, it was fated to continue this cycle of reincarnation. Deeds done in life would affect the soul's purity and determine how much longer its spiritual journey would go on before ascending to heaven. Okie dokie. So, the soul of a human or animal will be transferred to another living being. Some characteristics or personality traits of the soul are usually preserved. For example, eye colour or an affinity towards a particular person or item. Okay. Human soul will transfer to an animal which is already alive. Soul belonging to an animal or human transferred to a human will enter a body at birth, not one that's already alive. Oh no. I'm investigating a kidnapped baby. I wonder if the baby was born when somebody specific died. Now I'm worried. One popular believed case of metempsychosis comes from medieval Germany, where two feuding families both met their ends. The last of one line was suspected of setting the other's stables on fire. Nasty. During which the other perished. Soon after, a white horse took up residence at the surviving family's estate. While out riding, the estate caught fire and the horse and rider ran into the flames, killing both. It's said that the horse was the reincarnation of the murdered heir come back to seek revenge on his killer. Yeah, Fish, I'm hoping it's just the horror GM in me coming up with, what's the nastiest thing I can think of? I know. Let's pretend that people have reincarnated into a baby. I've got instructions on how to conduct a seance. That'll be entertaining. Spirit medium must be relaxed. Okay. In some instances, a spirit bulb may be used. These are flat tablets, typically made of wood. Stop calling them Ouija boards. Most basic spirit board would contain simply the alphabet of whatever country the board's being used in, although it's not uncommon for whole words to be added. These days that just needs to be a red power symbol. That one, presumably the green one with a phoneme. This board is used as follows. One to all of the participants in the seance place 1 or 2 fingers on the planchette in the middle of the board. The appointed medium asks questions of the spirits with whom attempting to communicate. Fair play. What? Psychic, astral travel, mediums, spirituality, squid. One of these things is not like the other. I'm a bit concerned at the idea I might be faced with a giant squid at some point in this game. Yay. Voodoo! Yeah, play Gabriel Knight. I think I've probably got thorough grounding in historical voodoo. Or voodoo. Okay, but we do know of Voodoo N. The mother of the suspect in the last case was a voodoo queen. So I don't know if she's going to turn up again. So basic gree-gree is always contained in a leather pouch. The ingredients vary depending on the desired effect. The gree-gree designed to bring a gambler luck would contain chamois, red flannel, a shark's tooth and dove's blood. The gree-gree for sending away an enemy contains items like gunpowder or red pepper. Usually the person's name's written on paper and included in the bag. To bring someone bad luck in business, the gree-gree would contain chicken bones and graveyard dust. Hey. Communication with the spirit realm, most often achieved via the help of a medium. Okay, that makes sense. Whether a medium can see spirits or only hear them depends greatly on their level of skill, as well as their natural attunement to the spirit realm. Still borderline on whether or not Bill actually is real. Those who would claim that what lies beyond the veil is only madness, I ask you, is it madness to gaze upon the face of the others? Yes. I'm just going to cut you off there, mate. Yes. We're having a Lovecraftian moment. Okay. The fact that mediums exist should be proof enough that whatever higher power created us wanted to ensure that there were those among us who could bridge the gap between the living and the dead. You're making a big assumption there that mediums actually exist in this setting. Spontaneous human combustion? Ooh. So, should I encounter anyone who's apparently burned to death in this game? The traits of spontaneous human combustion are the victims are chronic alcoholics, usually elderly females, the hands and feet usually fall off, the fire has caused very little damage to things around the body, A residue of greasy and fetid ashes left behind. Most physicians and investigators strongly believe spontaneous human combustion is a product of alcoholism. Goodie! Secrets of the Tarot. I think I've got that set, actually. Right. So, you told me those 2 specific cards for no particular reason. Now we know the ether exists in this. The ether, the outer void, the primary channel through which spirits can travel and communicate with the living. This unseen dimension exists in conjunction with ours, but can only be accessed by people gifted with sight or special communication tool. The most common tool for spirit communication is the etherometer, which is what the woman's got on her desk. When spirits wish to communicate, their messages enter our dimension as vibrations undetectable except by the aforementioned people and tools. The etherometer reads these vibrations and translates them into sounds or words, which the medium can then interpret. Okay. Then we're into spirit photography, which at least they admit spirit photography is easily faked. Fun. So, having thoroughly raided her house...
I never much cared for all that mystic stuff. Why should your life be dictated by a bunch of cards?
Let's have a chat.
Could I ask you about some things, Miss Maxwell?
Certainly, darling.
Still not entirely clear on why for the headdress, but never mind. There we go.
What can you tell me about the Spectre Society?
Where to begin? I formed this club 2 years ago, right after I moved to New Britannia. During our meetings, we discuss our experiences with paranormal phenomena and organize investigations.
What sort of investigations?
We look into places all around the city which have been reported as haunted. New Britannia is teeming with the spirits of those killed during the French and British takeovers of the city. Not only that, but there is a prevalence of mystic religious practices here in Gascon, brought over by immigrants from the Antilles.
Fascinating.
There are plenty of books on the subject over there in the bookcase, if you're interested in learning more.
Read 'em. Okay.
What made you decide to start up this club?
I began communing with the spirits at a very early age. My twin sister, Rachel, died after falling into an icy pond when we were 8 years old.
I'm very sorry, Miss Maxwell.
Oh, I appreciate your sympathy, darling, but don't feel too bad. Rachel began speaking to me shortly after that. She has served as my spirit guide ever since.
Spirit guide? You mean you still speak with her?
Oh, yes. Every day. In fact, I was just speaking with her before you arrived. As I grew older, I realized there were others in the world who were also able to communicate with spirits, and those who had an interest in what lies beyond the ether. And so, once I moved to New Britannia, I decided to start up this club so we could gather and share our experiences.
Do you suppose she can hear what I'm saying? Hey, Angela, try a bit less eyeshadow, would you? You look like a purple raccoon. Nothing. Clearly a fraud. Ah, well.
Still not sure.
I was wondering,
Yes?
when you communicate with the spirits, are you able to stop?
If I wish them to leave me, yes. I bid them farewell, and they usually depart back into the ether.
What about the more persistent ones?
You do remember I'm right here, don't you?
Well, just between you and me. Those spirits are best dealt with by having the other kind of spirits. Quiets them right down.
I prefer soporific myself.
Oh? You hear the voices of the spirits as well, Mr. Fordham. But of course, now the reason for your visit to the Spectre Society is obvious. Do you see? All our paths eventually become clear. I'm glad yours has brought you here.
Oh, wonderful. Now she started rhyming. Don't get any funny ideas about telling her about me. She may be a lunatic, but that's no reason to expose yourself as one, too.
Yeah, let's hold off talking about Bill just yet. How much practical use can an 8-year-old be as a spirit guide? I don't know. Just wander around asking you questions all the time.
I spoke with Henrietta Davis, and she mentioned one of your other members, Linda Walker. Can you tell me anything about her?
Ah, Linda. Poor dear. Of all our members, she is the one I feel for the most.
Well, thank you for the
Why is
sympathy.
that?
She's had a tragic life,
Yep.
but I believe the Spectre Society has helped her greatly. Not only has she made a good friend in Henrietta, she's also dealt with her grief in a positive way. She has devoured my collection of books, educated herself on many subjects. I would say she's become an expert on clairvoyance and metempsychosis. It's always nice to know that the club can help those who have suffered.
Do you see her often?
Yes, she comes by about once or twice a week.
Oh no.
What's this tragic story about Linda you mentioned?
Oh dear. I probably shouldn't say.
But you have. Yeah, Fish. Definitely metempsychosis. Some form of psychosis.
Miss Maxwell, I'm going to be frank. I'm investigating a kidnapping, and Mrs. Walker is a person of interest. I need to know as much about her as possible to help me solve this case. Do I make myself clear?
Well, if it will help, Linda was married to a man named Thomas. Together, they had a son named Alexander. Thomas revealed himself to be a terribly cruel man. When he gave himself over to the drink, he would fly into rages and beat both Linda and the boy. One day, she came home to find both her son and husband dead.
My God, what happened?
The police ruled it a murder-suicide. Poisoning, apparently. Linda has been trying to make contact with Alexander's spirit for the past year or so, but has had no luck. It really is a terrible tragedy.
How old's the baby?
I'm sorry, what was it you said? Madam Psy, what?
Metempsychosis, darling. It's a philosophical term which comes from ancient Greece. It refers to the transmigration of the soul after death.
Is that anything like reincarnation?
Essentially, yes. There's a book on the subject over in the bookcase, which can tell you far more than I possibly could.
Yeah. Okay.
What can you tell me about Linda and Henrietta's friendship?
It's so lovely to see them together at the meetings. They're practically inseparable. It's quite sweet. They often leave messages for each other in the guest book. When Linda found out that Henrietta was taking care of an infant, she even gave her a toy bear for the child. I remember Linda lighting up with excitement when she asked about him. She really loves children. It's such a terrible shame about... But please, let's discuss something more pleasant, shall we, darling?
Should we talk about the kidnapping as something more pleasant? Yeah. Oh, very dear indeed, Fish. As something more pleasant. Because I don't think she's going to give me Linda's address, but I will try. Or shall I tell her about Bill? Which should be interesting.
I don't hear the voices of all spirits, just one.
Miles, what are you doing?
Ah, you have a spirit guide. Please, tell me more, darling.
I wouldn't call him a spirit guide so much as a spirit nag.
This is a very, very bad idea.
Do you know who this spirit is?
Yes, it's my former detective partner, Bill. I shot him on our last case together.
You shot him?
He was on a roof being held at knife point by a burglar. They were too close. I took the shot, but missed, and hit my partner instead.
Oh my, you poor darling. Is he angry with you?
Well, he is now. He doesn't think it's a good idea to tell others about him. But normally, he's the same as he was in life. He just wants me to find the man responsible for his death. I've told him I'm really the one responsible, but he insists it's the burglar.
I see. This is quite the unfortunate situation. My advice to you is this. Spirits often know best. You do well to listen to him about keeping his presence to yourself. Not everyone is as open-minded as we members of the Spectre Society.
Maybe I misjudged her.
I know. It's been hardest keeping this from my wife, but I can't drive her away. She's all I've really got left.
Your story has touched me, Mr. Fordham. I will do everything I can to help you and your spirit guide find peace. If I find anything out which might help you, I will contact you personally.
Thank you, Miss Maxwell. I appreciate it.
Well, that could have turned out much worse. I'm warning you, Miles. Tell anyone else about me, and I won't be so forgiving.
What exactly are you planning on doing, Bill? You're a ghost. You have no physical capability whatsoever. You can just annoy me into submission.
Do you know anything about the kidnapping of Charles Harris?
I'm afraid I haven't heard anything about any kidnappings, darling. If you wish, I can commune with the spirits and see if I can help locate your missing person.
That won't be necessary, Miss Maxwell, though I appreciate the offer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Linda Walker's address?
I'm afraid not, darling. Linda has always been somewhat private, and that's not something I consider to be crucial information.
Do you know any way I can find her?
You could always come back for our next meeting. It will be the first Thursday of next month.
By then, we'll have completely lost track of Charles. There has to be another way of finding Linda.
Thank you for the information. It was very enlightening.
It was my pleasure, darling.
Yeah. You are definitely as mad as a box of frogs. Right. Hello.
Must be for the more traditionalist members.
Lovely. So what did that message in the guest book actually say?
There's quite a few members in this.
Looking forward to meeting you over at the Manor next week. Come at 8 PM. You can meet Charlie. So she wants to introduce her to the baby. Now, the baby's been kidnapped. And if Linda did it, would she turn up?
I'll be going now.
May the spirits guide you to that which you seek.
Yeah, may the force be with you. Hey, well that was interesting, if not actually enlightening. Hi, Henrietta, you're
Hello
bonkers.
again, Mr. Fordham.
I have some questions for you, Mrs. Davis.
All right.
You also have a chest full of creepy dolls, which I'd forgotten.
Mrs. Davis, have you ever had Linda visit you at the Harris Manor?
Oh, no, of course not.
Then would you care to explain your note to her in the Spectre Society guest book?
Oh, well, but...
Please, Mr. Fordham, I didn't mean to lie to you. It's just that it gets so lonely by myself in the house at night. So every now and then, I invite Linda to come over for tea and some company.
I see. And when was the last time this happened?
2 nights ago? Please don't tell Mr. and Mrs. Harris, Mr. Fordham. If they found out what I was doing, they'd have me dismissed without a reference.
I won't, but I'd very much like to speak with Mrs. Walker. Do you have any idea where I can find her?
All I know is that she works as a seamstress at a shop in Lyon, but I don't know the name. I'm sorry, I can't be of any more help than that.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Phone book or something. Right, so 2 nights ago, the night you were drugged, your friend who believes in metempsychosis and has lost a son came over to visit you and the baby in your care. No, this is all absolutely fine. I totally think it's the moneylender. Oh boy.
I'll be going now, Mrs. Davis.
May the spirits guide your path.
Yep. Clearly coincidence, fish. Oh boy. In the absence of a phone book, I wonder if Constance has anything for me. Hello, Torgo.
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
Can we go over my current case?
Of course.
Right.
I found this torn piece of fabric at the crime scene. It's got an emblem with some initials on it.
I recognize that emblem. It's from Solomon Stitching, a little tailor shop in Lyon. My ex-husband had several jackets from there.
Sorry to dredge up old memories, but do you remember where they're located?
I believe it's on the corner of Bonneville Street and Surratt Avenue.
Fantastic. You're helpful as always, Upton.
Bingo. Wasn't expecting that, but...
I found this button at the crime scene. The child's nanny identified it as the eye of his stuffed bear.
Did you find the bear at the scene?
No, the kidnapper must have taken it as well.
Interesting.
Either the kidnapper is very compassionate, or it's someone who knew the child.
Yeah, this is what makes me think it could well have been Linda.
I spoke with Henrietta Davis, the Harris family nanny.
A sensible place to start. What did she have to say?
She claims to have been unconscious when the kidnapping took place.
She must be an extremely heavy sleeper.
I don't believe so. The way she described it made it sound like she was drugged.
Interesting. Definitely worth looking into, I'd say.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Spectre Society?
I think so. They're some sort of ghost hunting club, aren't they?
A spiritualist group, yes.
Don't tell me this case has taken a turn for the supernatural.
Not exactly. It's just come up as a potential lead. Are you familiar with the term metempsychosis?
No, what is it?
Apparently some mystics and philosophers maintain that it's a process whereby human and animal souls are transferred to new bodies upon death.
Fascinating. Some people have such queer ideas. What's that got to do with the kidnapping, though?
I'm not exactly sure yet.
Sometimes I'm jealous of all the odd things you detectives get to look into.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay.
How are you doing?
How's work going?
Hectic as usual. Crime in this city seems to be getting worse and worse every day.
I suppose that's the price of progress.
God help us if they ever actually discover that ethericity stuff then. Things between you and Adelaide getting any better?
I'm really not sure. They haven't gotten worse, but things haven't been the same between us since Bill died.
Well, you need to figure things out, or everything is just going to explode in your face one of these days.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Upton.
I'm merely speaking from experience. If I'd seen the warning signs of Harold sooner, it would have saved me quite the headache. At least your marriage seems like it's still worth saving.
Okay.
What's the other case you mentioned? The one you said was a higher priority.
Well, it seems we might have a mass murderer on our hands.
What?
You don't say.
That's right. I didn't say because I shouldn't say. But so far, we've had 3 murders with a very similar MO in the past 2 months. Snelling is trying his hardest to keep it under wraps since the newspapers already caught wind of the first 2.
I don't envy the department there. I'm happy to stick with the missing persons and domestic disputes. That's it, I think.
Then you'd better get back to it.
Oh. Miles, you haven't been sleepwalking on soporifics and murdering people, have you? I've had a couple of crashes on this, so I'm saving quite a lot. Just, I think that doesn't like me tabbing back and forth, so I think it's slightly unstable as a result. Plus, you know, it's an investigative game. I save all the time anyway. Okay. So that's presumably where Linda Walker is lurking. Shall we chase up the lunatic we think might have taken the baby, or should we go and talk to the dodgy moneylender? Finish up one thread, so to speak.
Good day to you, sir. Welcome to Solomon Stitching. I'm Jonah Solomon. Please let me know if I can help you with anything.
Solomon Stitching. Fair enough.
It's quite the selection, but I doubt the typical clientele of this place buys off the rack. Isaac Samuels, the Prime Minister who freed the slaves. They say even his enemies wept on the day he died. I sure hope I get to meet him someday.
Oh, you're dead.
That coat is so dull. I always prefer the ones with a bit more color. The design of that coat looks awfully familiar.
Yeah. Huh.
My grandmother had one like that. I think it was meant to be relaxing, but it always felt like my time was running out. Now that it has, well, it actually is relaxing. Go figure. This guy has been in business forever. That cloth will be a garment soon. A vest, by the looks of it. Or maybe I'm completely wrong, and it's a treasure map. Impressive collection of pattern books. I wish I'd known about this guy when I was alive. I'd have asked him to make me a suit for my funeral. Judging from the position and the lock, this is likely where Mr. Solomon keeps his money.
Fair enough. So, Mr. Solomon then.
Mr. Solomon?
Yes, sir. How may I be of service? Oh, let me guess. You're looking to replace that old coat. It looks like it's got quite a few stories it could tell me.
You should listen to the man, Miles. He clearly knows what he's talking about.
Not today, I'm afraid. There's still a few more stories it has left to tell. Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
Questions? Very well, but if they aren't about tailoring, I don't know how much help I'll be.
Funny you should say that. Right,
This is a nice shop you have. I never even knew it existed.
Well, better late than never, I always say. Life has a funny way of always taking us where we need to go in the end.
True. Although I think it's easy to miss out on things from time to time.
Oh, of course. It's easy to overlook the details, but in the grand scheme of things, you'll end up where you need to be. And in this case, you ended up here. So, please, feel free to take a look around. Let me know if you find anything you like.
Right, okay, let's get straight to it then.
I found this piece of torn fabric with your emblem on it. Can you tell me anything about it?
Yes. Brown, wool, houndstooth. This is from one of the more popular jackets I sell.
And here I thought my ability to name ales within 5 seconds of tasting them was good. This fella has me beat.
Do you have any of them in stock currently?
Well, sure, I've got one on the display dummy over there.
Is there any way you can tell me who you've sold them to?
Ooh, I don't think so. I've sold at least 20 in the past month. As I said, it's a very popular style.
Bugger. I think covers it.
Is there anything you can tell me about this button?
Looks like it's made of wood, not very well crafted either. Definitely not from one of my products.
Do you by chance employ a seamstress named Linda Walker?
I do, yes.
Is she here?
No, she has the day off today, but she'll be in tomorrow.
Would it be possible to have her address?
Begging your pardon, but why should I give it to you?
I'm a private investigator. It's crucial to this case. She's my sister. We've lost touch. Her son and mine were schoolmates. I have something to return. Ooh. I should do it.
Her son, Alexander, and mine were schoolmates. I just found a book he lent my son, and I wanted to return it. I've been trying to track her down for ages, and only just found out where she worked.
Oh, I see. It was a terrible tragedy what happened with her boy and her husband. I know how private Mrs. Walker is, but I'm sure she would appreciate you returning her son's book. All right. She lives at 403 St. Agnes Street.
Remember when you couldn't even bring yourself to trick people into thinking their shoelaces were untied? You've come a long way, Miles.
How did you get into this business, Mr. Solomon?
I was always good with a needle and thread. When I was a boy in Poland, I would help my mother with her sewing. Then, during the war with Russia, I fixed uniforms and stitched up wounds. Not long after that, I moved to Vespuccia, settled here in New Britannia. My first shop was in the Chum, but thankfully I was very successful and was able to move to Lyon. I won't lie to you, this location is much, much nicer. It's refreshing to not have to step over drunken hobos when I open and close the shop.
Oh, but that's part of the charm of owning a business in the Chum.
Not much else to say beyond that. My business is my life.
You seem very dedicated to your craft.
That's right. You won't see any of that newfangled steam-powered nonsense in here. Everything is done by hand and with care. I use only the finest quality materials and stitch every thread myself. And that's the way it's going to stay as long as I'm around. It's worked for 45 years. There's no reason to change as far as I'm concerned.
I'll be taking my leave of you now, Mr. Solomon.
Very good.
I like him. Also, interesting little bit of world building there. There was a war with Russia. I mean, obviously, everywhere has a completely bonkers name, but I would love to see a world map for this thing. Right, I now know where Agnes lives, where Linda lives, on Agnes Street. The Walker residence. Well, this is going to go down like a lead balloon, but I may as well follow it.
Some people would call that humming and hissing the sound of progress. I'd call it annoying.
Okay.
It says here that Linda Walker is in the upstairs apartment, and someone named Douglas Emafiel is under the stairs. His machine is quiet. It's already gone up considerably in my estimation.
You could learn a thing or two from it, Bill.
Right. Okay, let's go and see if Linda will let me in.
Nobody home. Now what?
Try the downstairs neighbor, I guess.
What? Who are you? Are you from the Steamworks?
Hello, George Carlin.
Afraid not, sir.
Damn. Oh well, what can I do for you?
Why did you ask me if I was from the Steamworks?
Why did you think I was from the Steamworks?
Because I contacted them a few days ago when my boiler broke, and nobody has come to repair it yet. I should have known better. Those fools always take their time, if they even bother showing up at all. Meanwhile, I'm stuck in here with nothing but cold water. If I catch pneumonia and die, you'll know who to blame.
Do you know Linda Walker?
Of course. She lives upstairs. Who's asking?
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm trying to find Linda so I can speak with her.
What's your business with her?
I'm afraid that's private.
Well, she's out right now. You'll have to come back another time if you want to visit her.
Huh.
Have you got any idea when Mrs. Walker will be back?
Not for a few days. She told me she was going away for a bit. Ah, that reminds me. She asked me to water her plants while she was gone. Just need to remember where I put the spare key.
Spare key?
Did you say something about having a spare key to Mrs. Walker's apartment?
Sure, I'm her landlord. I look after the place when she's gone. Got a bit of a green thumb, that one, so she puts me in charge of watering her plants. The trip up is a bit of a pain, though. My hips aren't what they used to be.
6 stairs. I'm a PI and I need you to give me that key. Yeah, this is not gonna play well, is it?
I'm a private detective, and it's of the utmost importance that I get that key from you.
Right. Private detective. I don't have to do anything you say. You're not really the law. So, nice try. But I'm not betraying Mrs. Walker's trust so easily.
He says that now, but I'm willing to bet he'd do it if it benefited him in some way.
Sorry to bother you,
Right.
sir. I'll just be on my way.
So, anybody else thinking I'm gonna have to get his boiler fixed in order to get into that flat?
It says here that Linda Walker...
So, fetch and carry quest it is. Okay, let's expand the remit a bit and go talk to the next best suspect.
Hello, sir. Welcome to LaFay Lenders. I'm the owner, Chester LaFay. Are you looking to take out a loan?
Not today, I'm afraid. I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator.
Look, I don't know what you've heard, but I run a clean business here. I don't need any trouble.
And I'm not here to cause any, for the moment.
Just keep your nose where it belongs. We should get along fine.
Yeah, because I've done that so far.
Do you suppose LaFay turns the heat up to put some pressure on his clients? Must be soothing for LaFay to be able to look at this landscape while he sits at his desk. That's the latest model Computron. They don't come cheap. LaFay must be doing pretty well for himself.
Okay.
He actually has a degree in business from the University of New Britannia? What a waste. LaFay with a woman and a small girl. I wouldn't have taken him for a family man.
Okay.
A crew escaping a shipwreck on a violent sea. Not the most comforting painting to look at while waiting for a loan.
True.
I shudder to think how many people's financial freedoms are locked away in that cabinet.
Okay. Right then. Hello, sir.
Mr. LaFay, I'd like to ask you some questions.
Fine, but keep it brief.
Tell me what you know about Malcolm Harris.
Ah, Mr. Harris. Took out a loan about a month ago. Still hasn't paid me back. In fact, he sent along a letter yesterday saying he was having an emergency and needed more time. I probably should have refused to do business with him. As soon as he walked through the door, I could tell his type.
What type is that?
Upper class, bored with his life, trying to escape and doing it through vice. In his case, gambling.
This guy is good. Maybe you can pursue money lending if the whole private investigator thing doesn't work out.
but for some reason, I pitied him and decided to give him the loan anyway. Compassion isn't exactly an asset in this business, you see.
Nothing to worry about in your case, then.
Aside from that, I don't know anything about him. I prefer to keep how much I know about my clients to a minimum. Makes things easier for me.
Okay. But he's got a jacket of similar type to torn fabric.
Take a look at this piece of fabric. Does it look familiar to you?
Sure, it looks like it came from a jacket. In fact, yes, it's the same fabric as the jacket I'm wearing.
Uh-huh.
Exactly how much did Mr. Harris borrow from you?
Is that relevant to your investigation?
It would help to have an idea of exactly how much he owes you, yes.
I don't feel comfortable telling you the exact amount, but I will say it was over 500 crowns.
A considerable sum.
Like I said, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I'll get the money back one way or another.
Will you now?
Tell me a bit about yourself and your business, Mr. LeFay.
What's to tell? I lend people money, they pay me back.
Surely it's not that simple.
Well, of course I charge interest, otherwise I'd never make a profit. I know people don't look upon the service I provide very favorably, but without my help, there would be a lot more unhappiness in the world.
How did you go about starting up this business?
I didn't. My former employer, Mr. Roth, left it to me when he passed.
Okay.
That was rather good of him.
Yes, well, he didn't have any heirs, and he considered me to be the son he never had. He was fond of my family, too. I try and keep my work and home life as far away from each other as I can, though. There's a lot of things in this line of work that my wife and daughter are better off not knowing about.
Uh-huh. So not all sweetness and light, then.
Would you mind if I took a look at your jacket?
Sure, not a problem. Here.
Yeah. I don't see any holes, gaps, problems, rips, tears, or anything like that. It's annoying.
No tears in mine, huh?
Not a one. You clearly take good care of your clothing.
I don't mean to discourage you, Mr. Fordham, but I've seen a lot of people with this style of jacket. Hell, even Malcolm has one. I remember he was wearing it when he came in here.
I see. Thank you for the information, Mr. LeFay.
Uh-huh. No, still have things to talk about.
I've got some...
Go ahead, then.
Are you aware that Malcolm's son, Charles, was kidnapped last night?
I had no idea he even had a son. As I said, I don't ask my clients too many personal questions.
Fair enough.
Though now you've told me, I suppose that would explain the emergency he mentioned in his letter. Poor guy.
What's your policy regarding people who don't pay their loans back?
There are a few options. For the first 3 months or so, I'll send them a letter reminding them. After that, I start to threaten them with legal action. You wouldn't believe some of the things people do to avoid paying back their loans. One client went so far as to fake his own death.
Do you ever employ any more unusual methods?
Now wait just a minute. I see where this is going. Mr. Fordham, I'm a family man myself. If you're implying that I would stoop to kidnapping someone's child as collateral...
I never said that, Mr. LeFay.
No, the father
Look,
did.
I have a family to consider. I'm not about to go getting my hands dirty when there's plenty of legitimate ways to handle the situation.
I think that's all for now.
I hate to have to say it, but I believe... That was annoying. Okay. Construction company, then. Where they're building the new Zeppelin.
And so we say to Harris and his cronies, no, we will not stand for this. Too many have died to allow this to continue. Steam tech must be stopped.
Okay.
The time has come to reject steam machines. They take our jobs, they take our families, they take our lives. We won't stand for this injustice any longer. Clyde Harris has no concern for the people who died aboard the Lygia or their families. The only thing that matters to him is lining his pockets with the misery of others. To this we say no! Lads, we will not just stand by and watch another bringer of fiery death hover over us. Mark my words, the HMS Lenore will not fly!
Well, no, Lenore won't. Lenore will fight.
And so we say to Harris and his cronies...
Well, someone certainly wasn't shy about making their opinion known. Don't these people have jobs they need to go to? Elect Hart Leroy, the man of the people. I think that's preaching to the choir around here. But the way this gate is set up, I think trespassers should get an award for being able to breach the fortress.
Go on,
Pardon
then,
me,
mate.
are you Arthur Devons by any chance?
Yes? Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. Could I ask you a few questions?
Guess so, yeah.
All mouth, no trousers?
Does this piece of fabric look familiar to you?
Looks like it came from some fancy jacket. The type you'd expect to see on the snobs in Leon. I could never afford clothes like that in a million years.
Uh-huh.
You recognize this letter, Mr. Devons?
How'd you get that? That wasn't meant for you.
I found it at the home of Mr. Malcolm Harris. He tells me you've been sending quite a few of these to his father.
Me and everyone else what had someone killed by that devil machine. I'm not the only one, you know.
Perhaps not, but he told me you were the most persistent.
Uh-huh. And clearly not the most stable.
What have you got against the Harris family?
The family? Don't know nothing about the family. The only one I got a problem with is Clyde Harris, the one who owns this yard. He's just like all those other rich bastards with their heads in the clouds. The man don't care about the dead. He just wants to make as much money as he can. I'm just trying to make him realize how wrong he is.
Okie dokie.
Do you practice voodoo, Mr. Devons?
What?
The chicken bones and dust you send along with your
God.
letters. It's a voodoo spell meant to cause bad luck in business. Quite a convenient solution, wouldn't you say?
I don't know what you're on about.
Come now, Mr. Devons. I'd appreciate it if you didn't think I was stupid.
I think you're stupid.
All right, fine. I went to go see one of them magic women in Gascon. She told me about the spell and what I needed to do. I don't believe in the stuff, but I thought maybe if I used it, I could scare Harris enough to get him to stop making the new airship.
Well, I don't mean to be one to put a damper on your amateur witchcraft, but it doesn't seem to be doing you much good.
Uh-huh.
Why are you out here protesting?
Because what Harris Construction is doing ain't right. I lost my wife in the Lygia crash, and I'm not the only one, neither. Hundreds of people were affected by that disaster, and now these bastards are making another airship. It's like a slap in the face to everyone who died. I just can't understand it.
What do you hope to accomplish by protesting?
Simple. We want construction of the Lenore stopped, and a full investigation into the Lygia disaster. Not only that, we want compensation for our losses. Royal Maverick took care of all the families of those on board, but the families of the ones in the park didn't get a single copper. It just isn't fair. We aim to make things right. After that, it'll just be a matter of time before people realize that there's no future in steam tech, and they'll call the whole thing off.
Ah, the innocence of the downtrodden. I wish I could be as naive as them. It would have made my life a lot easier.
Hundreds of people lost my wife. Yes, Fish, I had much the same thought when I read that.
Do you know anything about the kidnapping of Charles Harris?
Charles Harris? Who's that?
Clyde Harris's grandson.
I didn't even know he had a grandson. I can't believe someone with a grandkid, a family, would want more flying death in the air. How many more people have to die before someone realizes that steam machines are evil? People will kill their own mams for a crown these days.
Game of Thrones. Oh no, wrong crown.
Do you recognize this button?
Can't say I do, but it looks handmade. I wonder how long it will be before the poor soul who crafted that button gets booted into the street and replaced with some steam-belching contraption.
You're a bit of a one-note chap, aren't you?
You seem very dedicated to your cause.
I'll take that as a compliment, Mr. Fordham.
There's quite a lot of people who are against steam tech, aren't there?
Yes, the movement is gaining ground and growing rapidly, I'm pleased to say.
I've heard stories about some more extreme members. Do you know anything about that?
You mean the Red Hats? Sure, I've heard of them. Even met a few. But if you think I'm telling you anything else beyond that, you're sorely mistaken.
Are you a member of the Redites, Mr. Devons?
No. I prefer more peaceful methods of making my voice heard. Now, if you don't mind, I think we should drop the subject.
Uh-huh. I'm not a Redite.
You must have loved your wife very much.
Are you joking? I loved her more than there are stars in the sky. She was my whole world, Mr. Fordham, the light of my life. It's been nothing but cold and dark since she was killed. You're married, aren't you, Mr. Fordham? I see a ring on your finger.
I am, yes.
Then take my advice. Appreciate every moment you have with her. You never know when she'll be ripped out of your life, leaving you with nothing.
You know, this fellow was actually pretty wise. Maybe we misjudged him.
Good day to you, Mr. Devons.
You too, Mr. Fordham.
It's definitely voice of your subconscious, isn't it? It's unconscious.
The time has come!
Now that is an impressive piece of machinery.
And they'll end up dangling off that.
Now that...
We won't stand for this injustice any longer!
Right. So people, unfortunately, are kind of eliminating themselves from the investigation. I wonder if the woman he went to see in Gascon was the voodoo queen I met on the last case. That would be useful. Hello, Chrono! How you doing? Let's go back and see if Constance can help.
We haven't anything to discuss right now, Fordham.
Okay.
Come back when you've got something for me.
Right, okay then, Constance. Fight me, fanboy. Yeah, I hope you're having a good evening, Chrono. And today's treating you well. Okay, do I want to go back and talk to the nutty nanny, the worrying Ghostbusters, the wife, as in mine? Did you have a lot of entries? Unfortunately, I was writing one and I kind of possibly have maybe converted it into a game scenario. So
Honey, I'm home. You know, I've always wanted to say that.
It's good to have you back.
I bet.
Addie?
What do you need, dear?
A competent brain? Because apparently mine's broken.
You weren't kidding about business picking up. You're averaging what, about 3 appointments per day?
More like 5. I told you, debutante ball season's busy.
Doesn't it get tiresome?
Not really. You'd be surprised at the sort of gossip I hear from my clients. I don't know what it is, but they just open up to me and tell me all kinds of personal things. You sure you don't want me to give you a trim?
I'm fine for now, dear. Thank you. I'd forgotten how good you are at écarté. You absolutely destroyed me the other night.
As I recall, you used to hold your own pretty well.
We should have another match soon. That way I can hone my skills.
Yes, we should. As long as you can concentrate, I'm sure you'll get as good as you used to be.
Ouch.
I can't believe the nerve of that narrow-minded old cow.
Who, Mrs. Delacroix? She's actually one of my nicest clients.
I don't know how you can tolerate her. If I were you, I'd strike her off my list.
If I did that for every one of my clients who thought the same as her, I'd be out of a job. That's just the way it is.
Maybe so, but it doesn't make it any less infuriating.
Okay, why can I ask you about the Spectre Society?
Have you ever heard of a group called the Spectre Society?
I think I had a client once who mentioned it. There's some kind of spiritualist group, right?
So it would seem.
I don't really know anything else about them, sorry.
Okay.
How are things going with you?
I'm a bit worried about some rumors I've been hearing.
Oh?
They're saying it won't be long before automated hairdressing devices are available to the public. Once that happens, it's going to be tough for me to keep getting jobs.
Automated hairdressing devices? How would those even work? Do they read your mind?
Doubtful. More than likely they'll have some kind of settings or just give everyone the same type of hairstyle.
I wouldn't worry too much, Addie. You're the best hairdresser in town. I doubt people will place their trust in some contraption over you.
You underestimate my clientele, Miles. They're mostly all rich socialites whose hobbies are buying the most expensive and modern things just to outdo their peers. They'll be sending their servants to line up for days before the things are released.
Perhaps, but they'll come running back to you once the machines stop working. You'll see.
I certainly hope so.
I'll let you get back to your book.
Okay, so he's got a reason to start breaking the steam engines as well. What else in there? Protest at the airship yard, which is what we've just been doing. Sabotage blame for the brewery explosion. Prime Minister re-election campaign intensifies and Dupree scandal shocks Gascon's society. So yeah, that's the one I've just finished. Okay. Nothing else really leaping out to do here. I suppose I'd better...
Have a lovely day, Addie.
I look forward to your return.
Better go have a chat with the parents again. Since the moneylender's lovely, the guy at the construction yard has no beef except with the baby's grandfather. The Spectre Society are predictably bonkers. And I can't get into the Waterford residence yet. Oh, yes! Yes, we're in a new case now. I discovered, the gentleman who was guilty of the actual attempted murder was the gardener. All got a bit complicated. And went bloody dark. Did feature one of the most satisfying punches on the nose I've had in a video game in a long old time. Right, let's go and have a chat with the Harrises and see what's what.
Oh, Mr. Fordham. Oh, thank God you're back.
What's going on?
Our butler just brought this in. He found it stuck to the gate outside.
Harris family, we have your... Oh no. We have your son. If you ever want to see him again, you must stop building the new airship. We're not joking. So, after you went to see the protester who writes like that, suddenly a ransom letter turns up. Uh-huh.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of this ransom note?
It's obvious who sent it, Mr. Fordham. Why are you wasting your time here? Go arrest Mr. Devons!
Those are all the questions I had for now.
All right.
Yeah. Just had a chat with Mr. Devons and told him that there'd been a kidnapping. Kinda might be my fault.
I have some questions for you if you're up to answering them, Mrs. Harris.
I'll try my best, Mr. Fordham.
Did you read the ransom note?
No, Malcolm wouldn't let me. He said I was already too upset.
That's all for now, Mrs. Harris.
Very well.
Okay. I think I've raided their rooms.
Fancy. Some poor servants...
Nothing else of note in any of the drawers.
Oh, well. At least we got to play a rousing game of Search the Rich People's Dresser.
There's a handwritten note among the clothes.
Hello. Miriam, baby, I have to see you tonight. It's been far too long. Who is R? Interesting.
One thing is for certain.
Okay.
An empty suitcase. Yeah, it seems like this is where Mrs. Harris keeps her unmentionables. I like the ones with the frills and the stitched cat. Paperwork and receipts. More lacy underthings. I wonder which Harris they belong to.
Let's have a look for the jacket.
You don't suppose...
I suppose. I seriously suppose.
How about that?
It matches the piece of torn fabric perfectly.
So, this means...
It could mean many things. The only thing that's certain is that a piece of this jacket ended up on the floor of the nursery.
Seems like something worth asking Mr. Harris about.
So, I get to ask Mr. Harris about that, and I get to ask Mrs. Harris who exactly R is. But first, I get to save the game. Bit more up front.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I'm hoping he's going to take me off into the nursery to talk to me in private, which will let me nip back and have a word with her.
Mr. Harris, do you recall the torn piece of fabric I found in the nursery?
Yes, what about it?
As it turns out, one of the jackets in your wardrobe has a tear exactly the same size and shape as this one. Would you care to tell me how that happened?
That can't be.
I'm afraid it is. So explain it.
I have no explanation. The truth is, I haven't worn that jacket in weeks. I've no idea how it was torn.
Are you suggesting someone else took your jacket and wore it when the child was taken?
I don't know. Perhaps someone is trying to make it look as though I... But that's absurd. Why would I kidnap my own son?
Why indeed, Mr. Harris.
You really think he kidnapped his own son, Miles? Seems more likely he was set up. But he also doesn't strike me as a terribly good parent. Maybe it would serve him right to be blamed for this. We've done our part. The police can handle the search for the missing baby.
I could...
Those are all the questions I had for now.
I could just let that go. But on the other hand, there's also the grief-deranged member of the Spectre Society, who I strongly think believes that the spirit of her long-dead son has been reincarnated in this baby.
I have some questions for you. I found this note in your bedroom. What can you tell me about it?
I've never seen that note before in my life.
Are you absolutely sure?
Mr. Fordham, you mentioned you valued discretion. I ask you to please exercise some now.
Would it be possible to speak about this in private? In another room, perhaps?
Out of the question, Mr. Fordham. I shall not leave this sitting room in the company of another man if my husband is not present.
Yes, I understand. Let's put the subject on hold for now.
What a life these rich people lead. All the money in the world and they're trapped like rats.
That's all for now, Mrs. Harris.
Very
Excellent. Mr. Harris, would you mind bogging off?
The Harris family certainly has I wonder if they use the balcony to give speeches to the gardeners.
I'll let you know if I have any...
Damn. This kid has some creepy toys.
Yeah, the kidnapper left the child's blanket behind. There doesn't appear to be any trace of the silver spoon, though.
I love that mobile.
Nice mobile. Custom made, too. There'll be no mistaking what family this child comes from.
Hell is R.
Nice view of the garden from up here.
Kind of on the belt and braces approach here.
Probably won't be another year or so before the child gets any practical use out of those blocks beyond putting them in his mouth. Be careful not to cut yourself, Miles. I don't think the Harris family has ever seen blood that isn't blue. Look, you can see the balcony extends all the way around the side of the manor.
That would make it rather easy for someone to access this window from the outside.
No evidence of what was used to smash the glass, though.
Gardner conspiracy, a secret society. Yes, it could well be the secret society. The secret society could be the Spectre Society, and there's too many S's in that sentence. Okay.
A steam-powered bottle warmer. Or in the case of my parents, over a barrel fire.
Okay, so I need somebody who can fix a boiler. Basically. I'm seriously tempted for the hit it with a hammer option. But I would imagine that would go down like a lead balloon. And I can't get in there. Should we go back and have a chat with the guy at the construction yard and ask if he just took a trip across town?
Mr. Devons?
Yes?
You shouldn't have such distinctive spelling.
Mr. Devons, can you tell me about this note?
I've never seen that before in my life.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely. It's as I told you. I had nothing to do with that boy's kidnapping. I didn't even know he existed until you told me. Remember?
Yeah. And that note conveniently showed up right after you had that conversation. Let him stew in his own lies. His unique way of spelling is all the evidence we need to tie him to the note.
Very well, Mr. Devons. Forget I asked. Good day to you, Mr. Devons.
You too, Mr. Fordham.
This Arthur Devons joker is bad news. Not only is he making threats to the Harris family, he also has the nerve to send a ransom note. We have enough evidence to pin the crime on him, I think. The police can deal with the headache of actually finding the baby.
See, my suspect list is just getting longer and longer. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the casebook. We did actually find the correct culprit last time. But it got awkward, because I kind of thought he had a point. Quite a large point. Okay, suspects. Malcolm Harris. Father of the kidnapped child, fabric from his jacket was found at the crime scene, in heavy debt due to gambling loans. The trouble is, the moneylender he's in debt to is actually quite a nice bloke. And if he'd done it to try and get his incredibly wealthy industrialist father and to pay off his debts, I would have assumed we'd have had a ransom demand by now. Arthur Devons, disgruntled victim of Ligea disaster, hates Clyde Harris, dabbles in dark religious practices and sent a ransom note. Yeah, when they say distinctive spelling, this is your weekly reminder of how much I hate you. Because of you, my wife is dead. My wife was a wonderful woman and you have taken her from me. I hope you suffer as much as I have. And the ransom note... yeah. Same guy. Who the hell is R? Do we know what the name of the moneylender is? According to Chester LaFay, the style of jacket from which the torn fabric comes is extremely common, even Mr. Harris owes. So Chester. Don't know where the button came from. We don't know if there's anything significant about the button. That's the nutty nanny having to say to me.
Hello again, Mr. Fordham.
I'll let you know if I have...
All right.
Okay. But she does
I suppose it's for a good cause, but that doesn't make it any less disturbing.
The entire chest full of dismembered dolls is dodgy as hell.
I'll be going now.
May the spirit...
Yeah, go away. Okay. The tailor said that he was expecting his seamstress to come in the next day. The seamstress's landlord says she's going away. So, I still like her for this. Just wondering.
Welcome back. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Now I know that she's not coming back. I wonder if he'll have anything else to tell me.
I think we've gotten all we can from him for now.
No, okay, never mind. Fair enough.
Miles, what are you doing? You don't know the first thing about steam engine repair.
It can't be that hard to work out.
If you're serious about getting it fixed, I'd suggest looking for someone who knows about this sort of thing first. But if you just want to charge in blindly, be my guest.
Maybe insane. Oddly appropriate how often that file name works. Okay, what have we got? We've got the door.
These pipes are connected to the flue. They must heat up the water in this overgrown tea kettle.
Bill sounds concerned. Bill sounds genuinely concerned. That's the first time ever.
A fine fuel source.
Okay. So I've opened the flue. May or may not work. Oh no. I have just saved, okay? That's not good.
Fine fuel source.
That's not good. That's not good. I broke it. Oopsie. Turn valve left, turn valve right, leave valve alone. Okay, let's turn the valve.
It won't go any further in that direction.
Okay, let's turn the valve to the right. Poised now. That's not doing justice. Ah, is that not working?
I don't think you should leave this thing unattended before you've made any repairs.
I thought I repaired it. Oh, alright then. Huh.
A fine fuel source.
Okay, let's see what happens. Right, that's climbing. That's fine. Ah, okay. I think I probably need to get it up to 5 bar pressure. Turn the valve to the right. Oh, that's not good.
Fine fuel source.
There, stop shaking. Stop vibrating. A valve to the left. Ow. Right, okay. Give it some time to build up some pressure. Hopefully without blowing any shit up. Oh.
What the? My boiler! What have you done?
I do apologize.
You're one of those saboteurs, aren't you? One of those Redites!
Oops.
No, I'm calling the police, you no-good troublemaking bastard!
Now you've really done it, Miles. Best not to stick around here too long.
Oops. Yeah, okay, that was not my finest hour, to be honest. Huh. Oopsie. Yeah, he is so not going to let me into that flat now. Let's load that. And, yeah. Let's not do that again. Redites as in Luddites. Chrono. Led by somebody called Mr. Red. As opposed to Mr. Ed. Which is something else altogether. Okay. Let's try that again. Just checking. Never know. Okay. That's not doing. Mind you, I've got to close the door in. Oh, this isn't good. That's not what it's supposed to do. Okie dokie. So. Let's turn the valve.
It won't go any further in that direction.
Right. If I turn it to the right all the way.
It won't go any further in that direction.
Right, so that's all the way open as far as I can tell. Honestly, don't know what I'm doing. I am poised to close the flue. Oh, that's not good. Right, so if the needle gets buried, that's a bad thing. Design this. Why are there not easy fix instructions inside? Stop. Stop. The other stop. But it's not as bad as it was. Okay. Come on. That's better. Come on. Is that enough? Do I need all three? Uh-huh. Turn valve to left. So the pressure's not there to get up to the green, I think.
Well, color me impressed. You're either extremely lucky, or you've done this sort of thing before.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Right, I feel the need to save before I go and have a conversation now. I'm quite chuffed about that. Nice to see the occasional puzzle game being chucked in.
Yes? What is it?
I fixed the boiler for you.
What? Are you serious? It's pretty pathetic when some yahoo off the street does a better job than the people paid to do this sort of thing. I owe you, friend.
Might I take you up on that offer and get that spare key to the apartment?
Oh, right. You said you were a private detective, didn't you? Did Mrs. Walker do something wrong? Is she in trouble?
Possibly kidnapped
I'm not
a baby.
entirely sure yet, which is why I need to take a look inside her apartment.
I see. Well, I wouldn't normally do this, but you did me a great service by fixing the boiler. I can't just give you the spare key, but I can let you into the apartment.
Thank you.
That'll be just fine. Thank you.
Good, good.
What in the ether?
Whoa, hello.
Cripes, did a tornado come through this place or what?
Looks as though she definitely left in a hurry. I wonder if she planned on ever coming back.
I'll be waiting for you in the kitchen, Mr. Fordham. Just let me know when you're done looking around.
I'm still not 100% certain she hasn't kidnapped the baby, assuming him to be the reincarnation of her son.
I don't know about you, but I'm starting to have my fill of plants and flowers. There's a handwritten note here. Valerian mixed with chamomile, sedative effects, deep sleep.
Seems Mrs. Walker's an amateur herbalist.
Maybe not so amateur. I'd love to see the look on Mrs. Davis's face if she knew it wasn't a spirit that possessed her.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, let's go tell her, so I can see it.
You've gotten fairly misanthropic in your death, Bill.
Have I? I hadn't noticed.
Right, what else do we have?
Torn apart. She took most everything. Well, it doesn't appear she had much to take.
Worried about this. Also wondering if we're going to find... handmade button. Do you reckon it could be the end of a cotton reel?
I thought my apartment was messy. And the books she left behind are all trashy romance novels. Why wouldn't she take those? They're clearly the best ones.
Place is knackered.
Well, at least that painting cheers the place up a little bit. That bit of torn wallpaper looks almost deliberate.
Go on then. Let's be having you.
What do you know? She hid a book behind the wallpaper. Looks like a journal.
I need a drink for this one. I don't believe it. Can it be true? At tonight's meeting, I struck up a conversation with Henrietta. Charles Harris was born the day Alexander died, and he has blue eyes. I know I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but this is too perfect to be a fluke. To be sure, I need to find something of Alexander's appropriate for an infant. Maybe his old bear? Oh, God. Charles loved Barney. Henrietta told me she's never seen him react with such joy to any of his other playthings. There's no doubt now in my mind. Charles Harris is the reincarnation of my beloved Alexander. At last we can be together again. At last I can seek his forgiveness. I just need to find a way to take him from his false parents without getting dear Henrietta in trouble. I had the nightmare again last night. Alexander's cries of, "Why did you do it, mother?" were nearly too much to bear. When I have him again, I can finally explain that I couldn't do anything to stop him. Thomas was a monster, and I was at my wit's end. Dear Samuel had helped me so much, and there was no turning back once he consumed the tainted pie. What? How was I to know Alexander's friends would take ill, and he'd arrive home early? Watching my boy share the poisoned meal with his father was the worst moment of my life. I must get him back. Finally, after months of thinking, I have a plan. Samuel's instruction on the nature of plants has been the key. I'll visit Henrietta tonight at the Harris residence and prepare everything. It must look as though a burglar entered the nursery and tore his coat. 2 nights I'll have my baby again. She's bonkers. She is absolutely back-crap barking
Well, this
bonkers.
is pretty damn incriminating.
I'll say. Now we just need to figure out where she's gone, as well as how she managed to drug Mrs. Davis.
Well, we know how she drugged Mrs. Davis. She was in the
Oh,
habit...
we've got you now, Linda. Thought you could be clever and get away with the baby, did you?
Bill?
Well, you thought wrong. With Fordham and Legere on the case, the only thing you're getting is a one-way trip to jail.
Bill?
And the worst part is how sloppy she was. I mean, really, she couldn't think to pick up a button? She might as well have left a signed confession in the crib for all the good it did her.
Bill, would you just shut up, for God's sake? Huh? Is everything all right?
Yes, everything's just fine. I just stubbed my toe on the bed frame.
You ought to be more careful, Mr. Fordham.
Yeah.
Sorry, Miles. You know how I get when we're close to solving a case.
You always do this. I need to concentrate, and I can't hear myself think with you yapping away.
Right. Sorry. I'll keep it to myself.
Thank you.
But you have to admit, she really would have saved us the trouble if...
Bill.
Right. Not another peep. As you were.
Okay, what else do we have?
It's a boy. Can't be more than 7 or 8 years old. If that's Linda's son, why would she leave this behind?
Because she thinks she's got the real thing again.
Really, really disturbing stuff going on in this game.
Nice patterns. I wonder if Linda makes all her own clothes. A fairly recent model. Linda must have spent a good portion of her wages on it.
Else in... Yeah? Nothing else in the wardrobe. Yeah. No, she is dangerous to
I hope you were able to
others.
find out what you needed.
Yes, thank you for your cooperation.
And if she decides it isn't her son?
It says here that Linda Walker is...
Okay. time-ish. And we've discovered that she murdered her husband. I mean, to be fair, it does sound like an extended case of self-defense, but even so. Okay. Probably not much use.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
However...
I don't think there's anything...
No, okay.
I'll be going now.
May the...
I still don't know why you've got that in your head. Right, let's go and yeah. Let's have a chat with Mrs. Davis.
Hello
if
again,
let me.
Mr. Fordham.
Will you talk to me?
I have some questions for you, Mrs. Davis.
Time.
All right.
Mrs. Davis, where did you get the tea you drank on the night of the kidnapping?
From my own private supply. I drink a blend of hibiscus and elderberry. It clears the mind and puts me more in tune with the spirits.
Did it taste off to you?
No. Why do you ask?
Because I think your tea may have been drugged.
Wait, are you saying?
I believe Mrs. Walker used her own herbs to drug your tea, knowing you'd drink a cup the following evening. She then snuck into the house after you'd fallen asleep and took the child.
Oh, my word, I never would have thought.
I know, Mrs. Davis. But don't worry, I'm doing everything I can to find her.
Oh, may the spirits guide you, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you for your time, Mrs. Davis.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Well, I'd say we have everything we need to prove it was Linda who drugged Mrs. Davis's tea and took the child. It would be ideal if we could find out where she's gone before reporting back to Upton, though.
Yeah. This game is doing an
My mother had a pewter teapot as well. Always made the tea taste funny.
Yeah. Has an interesting way of attempting to have sympathetic villains. The guy in the first case, way more sympathetic. This woman desperately needs medical help. Because, if nothing else, when she came home and found her son and her husband sharing a poisoned meal, she could have said something then. She could have called a doctor right then. And she didn't. And she's killed her son once. What's she going to do this time?
I'll be going now, Mrs. Davis.
May the spirits guide your path.
I would very much like them to. Right. So...
Welcome back. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Yeah, we need to chat, sir.
I think we've gotten all we can from him for now.
Oh, damn, come on. Samuel. It's Chester LaFay over there. Doubt the parents are going to be any use to me.
I'll let you know if I have...
Oh.
Sit tight, Mrs. Harris.
Oh, okay. Earth would she have gone? As I said, who the hell's Samuel?
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
We've got a big overview coming up.
That's it, I think.
Then you...
I don't want to wrap up the case just yet. Okay. Journal details of belief that Charles Harris is the reincarnation of her dead son. Know this. Mrs. Davis, we know, was drugged and then woke up by this broken glass. Barney the bear belonged to Linda Walker's son. Betting stubs are totally irrelevant. Seems seamstress, friend of Henrietta Davis, believes Charles Harris is a reincarnation of her late son. Rather track down Linda Walker. How the hell am I going to do that? I wonder if the landlord has anything else to tell me. Probably not, but you never know.
Yes?
Sorry to bother.
Yeah, harumph to you too, sir. Let's go.
He's busy with his protest.
Very unlikely that the wife will know anything.
Hello, dearest.
Hello, Miles.
Let her read in peace for now.
Sabotage at the pre-election campaign. The airship protests we know about.
Building those model ships was a good way to pass the time between cases. Hopefully it'll be a while before you get enough time to build another one. Ah, the Havisham case. Our first time out as partners. First in a long line of successful cases. It's nice to have a memory of the good old days.
I doubt there's anything here that's going to provide an inspiration. Because that's what I need. I need inspiration points.
It might do you some good to look in the mirror a bit more often, Miles.
She's gone with the baby. Where the hell would she go?
I always liked that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room. Ha, that poster brings back some memories. That's from around the time you two met, isn't it?
Yes, back when Addie was singing at the Angel.
Adelaide's mother certainly enjoyed pressing flowers. Do you suppose she does more of it now that she's retired?
This is true. I suppose you can talk to your mother-in-law.
Yes, yes, the bottle is still in there. But you'd better not back out on our agreement, Fordham.
Alright. Please, dude.
It's admirable just how organized Adelaide is. Maybe someday the same can be said about you.
Yes.
Nope.
Remember before you started taking that medicine and you could actually read a book for more than 10 minutes before falling asleep? You were a lot more fun to talk to back then. Wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles? You've been wearing that coat for who knows how long.
So? Addie gave it to me. Besides, it gives me character.
Right. Brooding detective in a long black coat. That's never been seen before.
What are you talking about, Bill?
Never mind.
God. Let's do it.
You should have let me be buried wearing my hat. At least it wouldn't be gathering dust like it is now.
If I'd done that, it would be dust right now.
Heh, fair point.
I don't know what I've missed, but I think I probably have. And I don't know how.
Time for me to get some things done.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.
Coffee shop, the Spectre Society.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
Hello.
There's quite a few members in this group.
Anything else, Sleepy? Samuel. Samuel's not a member. Oh, poodles. There's got to be something.
I'll be going now.
May the spirit...
Okay. I missed something when I was looking in her apartment. Because I found all the incriminating stuff, I thought.
Yes?
Upstairs, now.
Do you think I might have another look inside Mrs. Walker's apartment?
All right, let's go.
You still look like George Carlin from me. Okay, what we got? We've got the wardrobe, we know. Got the bulge in the wall, which we know. It's just the journal. Trash pile.
You're actually gonna dig through that mess?
Oh, okay.
Sure hope it's worth it.
Couldn't do that last time.
A receipt with yesterday's date. One-way train ticket to Pierre in Lorraine. Departed this afternoon.
Thought she could get away easy, it seems. Well, I hate to disappoint her.
Okay. Right. That's where she works. He's got these drug adverts.
I hope you were able to...
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was able to find out. I think. Yeah. I'm on wrap up the case mode. Okay, Constance, got the bomb for you.
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
I'm ready to wrap this case up.
Okay, who's your prime suspect?
It's got to be Linda Walker.
It was Linda Walker,
Who is she?
a seamstress who befriended the Harris family nanny. She took the child because she believes he's the reincarnation of her deceased son, whom she accidentally poisoned.
My God.
You'll find a journal explaining her motive at her apartment, as well as the plants she used to drug Mrs. Davis.
But what about the broken window in the nursery?
All part of a false crime scene she set up to draw our attention away from her.
Excellent work, Miles. Did you manage to find out where Mrs. Walker is now?
Yes, I found a receipt for a one-way train ticket to Pierre, which departed this afternoon.
Fantastic. We can send a telegram to the train station and have her arrested upon arrival. You've done extremely well, Fordham. Snelling could only hope to have a detective as good as you again.
You flatter me.
Then I'd better stop before your head gets any bigger. All right, Miles. I'll go through the proper channels and report your information as an anonymous tip. And of course, I'll dip into the department's Good Samaritan fund to get you proper compensation for your work. For now, go home to your wife. I'm sure I'll have something else for you to look into fairly soon.
Welcome to Lorraine. An awfully cute baby you got there.
Oh, thank you, sir. This is my son, Alexander.
Alexander. That's a good name. Strong name.
Yes, thank you. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm in a bit of a hurry and I need to get to my hotel.
Of course. I won't keep you any longer, Mrs. Walker.
Thank you. Wait. How did you know my name?
I didn't. It was a lucky guess. But now, seeing as I know your name, allow me to tell you mine. I'm Sheriff Zeke Dollarhide. Linda Walker, you are under arrest for the kidnapping of Charles Harris. Surrender the child and come with me.
No, you've got it all wrong. This is my son. This is my Alexander.
Ma'am, please don't make this difficult. Come along to the station and we'll get this all sorted out.
Anybody else have visions of her chucking the kid on
Addie,
the train?
are you home?
Still at her appointment, it would seem. You know, Miles, I have to say, I'm proud of you.
Why's that?
It's because you actually listened.
So does this mean you'll keep quiet until morning?
I said I was proud of you. I didn't say you were getting a reprieve.
Then I need to figure out how I'm going to sleep through the night without the soporific.
You worry about that too much, Miles. You can sleep when you're dead.
You don't ever seem to.
That's because I slept quite enough when I was alive.
In any case, I need to clear my head. The best way to do that after a case was always going for a drink at the Angel.
The Angel? But you haven't been there since...
Since you died. But perhaps getting back into old routines will help.
Perhaps. It would be nice to see old Patrick again at the very least. Then it's settled. A drink or two at the Angel, for old time's sake.
Can't take the soporific, gonna go get blistered. Yeah, I was genuinely concerned.
I have to say, it's been a real pleasure having you back, Miles. I was worried about you.
I appreciate your concern, Patrick. The past few months have been a bit rough, but it's good to be back in familiar territory.
Miles, can I ask you something?
What is it?
Well, it may be none of my business, and you can feel free to tell me to stuff it.
Enough with the preamble, Patrick. Just ask.
I know you quit the force, but why are you still working as a private investigator? Why not leave all that detecting stuff behind?
Oof, that's a deep question for a bartender. Why have you got a picture of an angel behind the bar? Oh, night. Yeah, no worries about being knackered. Don't stress it at all. I appreciate you being around, even if you're a bit knackered. Or completely. And that goes for anyone who's lurking. Okay, I don't know how to do anything else. I'll go insane if I don't. Well, there's a fair bet you'll go insane if you do. Provided it isn't any of your business, so stuff it. Well, yeah, I suppose. It's just that that angel doesn't look so much fallen as partying. Or running for a bus. And it's still slightly weirdy. I don't know how to do it.
It's all I know. My grandfather was a cop, my father was a cop, so I became a cop. That's just how it went.
Oh, I hear ya. I come from 3 generations of butchers myself. But I broke the streak because I can't handle the sight of blood.
If only that had been true in my case.
Now then, will you be wanting another drink?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
No.
I've already had 2. I should probably be getting... Wait a minute. Patrick, do you hear something?
No, Miles. I don't hear anything.
Neither do I. Another gin, if you please.
Coming right up.
The spirits quiet the spirits. Partying Angel didn't have the same ring and Lucifer was already taken. Oh, God.
Must have taken a wrong turn back there. Hopefully Addie won't hear me come in.
Oh, no. No, not happy about this, no.
Excuse me, sir. Could you spare a shilling?
Sorry, I'm all out of coins. Here you are. Why don't you get a job begging on instead of begging on the street? I'm gonna go with I'm out of coins.
Apologies, but I'm all out of coins. Perhaps next time.
Spent them all at the pub, didn't you? I should have guessed.
I beg your pardon?
Just look at yourself. I may be a beggar, but even I feel sorry for you.
Thanks, Chrono. Yes, cheers for that, because I didn't need that in the back of my skull. I know you from somewhere. Your voice sounds very familiar. He's the murderer! Come on.
You. I know you.
Yes, that's right. I'm your biggest failure.
What are you talking about?
Come now, Miles, you're not completely stupid. You think finding and catching me is going to make things better?
Yes, I owe it to Bill. Maybe not, but at least I'll have some closure. It has to. It can't continue like this. I owe it to Bill.
Yes, I do. I owe it to Bill, and that's enough to make it worth doing.
That's very touching. But you need to face reality. Let's say you do find me, and this grand chase finally ends. What do you do the next morning? You still have a dead partner, no real job. Your wife knows you've been keeping things from her. Even if you solve 100 cases, it won't relieve that empty feeling inside.
What's your point?
I'm all you've got, Miles. Once I'm gone, there'll be nothing left. So just admit it. You don't want to find me. Not really.
Oh boy.
Bad dreams?
You could say that.
I just love the idea that a bender is actually leaving him
Head.
better.
How many drinks did I have last night?
You're asking the wrong person. I was out after the first one.
It seems Miss Maxwell was right about the effects of spirits. Go figure.
Yeah, well, let's not make a habit out of it, all right?
Miles is psychologically screwed, blued, and tattooed. Well, at least he wasn't on the soporific. I really hope it doesn't. At the moment, spirits potentially are real. Certainly the advice from the lady at the Spiritualist Society, Spectre Society, was that alcohol could calm the voices of the spirits, which it seems to have done. Depends. But yes.
So, you're up at last.
Is something the matter, Addie?
Oh, I see. You don't remember last night, do you? I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm not sure getting blasted is necessarily better, but on the other hand, the soporific is fairly crappy. Yeah, I'm also sincerely hoping that he didn't shoot his own partner. Just spontaneously. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. From our POV, he was holding a gun on the guy who had his partner at gunpoint. I would be intrigued to know what kind of shot actually killed Bill, which direction it came from. That's mean, Fish. I think we can safely skip past the I hope I didn't do anything stupid, because I know that tone of voice. I think I'm in trouble.
I'm guessing whatever happened last night didn't put me in your good books?
That's putting it mildly.
What happened exactly?
It was nearly 2 when you burst in here, soused to the eyeballs from God knows where. I imagine you've probably forgotten that too. You were muttering something about peace and quiet and then proceeded to relieve yourself on my begonias before stumbling into bed.
Charming. I salute you, O Vice Admiral of the Narrow Seas.
Oh no.
Good God. How embarrassing. I'm so sorry, Addie. I don't know what came over me.
I don't either. I've never seen you in such a state, and I pray that I never will again.
Yeah, you're going to have to, moderate the whole gin thing a bit. I bit off more than I can chew. Let's go with that.
I just bit off more than I could chew last night. I promise you, it won't happen again.
What possessed you to go out and get so drunk anyway?
I decided to stop taking the soporific. It was interfering with my ability to focus on cases. I thought perhaps having a drink or two would help me sleep, and I got a bit carried away.
I see. Well, I'm at least glad you've stopped taking that terrible medicine. But trading it for alcohol? This had better really be a one-time occurrence. Anyway, you got another message from Upton. It's there on the table, if you're feeling fit for the world now.
Well, at least this time I'm not having to deal with things going blue and cloudy. Fordham, a new case has come in, but the police are already investigating. Details have made their way into the newspapers. I won't be able to meet you at the Ruan, so here are the details. The deceased is Desiree Lethan. Her apartment is at 840 Right Way. Good luck, see Upton.
Huh.
What does Upton say this time?
That she can't meet me, and that I should go straight to the scene of the crime.
I wonder if that means the police have started to suspect that she's giving you these cases.
She also says news of this case has been made public, and the police are already investigating. Have you heard of Desiree Lathan?
Yes, there's something about her in today's paper. I didn't read the article, though. Where's the crime scene?
840 Right Way. It's not too far from here, thankfully.
You're sure you're feeling up to this today?
I'll be fine. The mental exercise will get me back to normal in no time.
And to be fair, as I said, no blue fluffy clouds, so that's a plus. Harris baby found, suspect in custody. That's nice. My detectives should be commended for the outstanding work they did in finding baby Charles and bringing him home safely. Let this be a lesson to all criminals. The New Britannia police always get their suspect. Especially when a mentally deranged former detective is doing the job for them. So we've got another death in Chumley, which presumably is the serial killer that Constance told us about. Still suspicious about this election campaign. Gascoigne Grandam found to death. So 63-year-old found burned to death in her home yesterday. Oh god. Oh no, 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 no. Tell me that we're not talking spontaneous human combustion. There was a book on that in the Spiritualist Society. Police were called to the scene by a neighbour who smelled smoke, only to find the grisly scene. Miss Lathan in her bed, body burnt to ashes. The circumstances are unknown. Police have not ruled out the possibility of foul play. Lathan was born in New Britannia, the daughter of a wealthy plantation owner. She grew to become one of the most loved and respected of the Gascoigne Grandams. Though she had many suitors over the years, Lathan never married. An avid reader, writer and poet, Miss Lathan had several articles published in local newspapers and magazines. Did she have any long-term companions? Residents of Gascoigne said they would miss seeing her in her brightly coloured hats and dresses as she walked by. Right.
Well, this is shaping up to be quite the investigation. I should probably get a move on before the police ruin the crime scene any more than they already have.
Good luck, Miles. And stay away from the bars, would you?
Yeah, I think keep yourself to like one drink for a nightcap if that shuts Bill up. Oh boy. Yeah, oh thanks, Fish. Maybe our hero will spontaneously combust. The book said it did strike drunks. Great.
I'm heading out for now.
Take care.
Let's be careful out there. Yes, it's Strux does it, Fish. What? It's ashes. Mind you, I could do without a pile of ashes today, frankly.
Looks as though we've arrived fashionably late.
Excuse me, sir, but this is an active crime scene. We can't allow members of the public.
Oh, this isn't just any member of the public, Kane. This is Miles Fordham. He used to be one of us until he killed his partner.
Wonderful. Officer Parsons is on the scene. It's a shock the apartment isn't in a shambles.
Good day to you too, officers.
Fordham? What are you doing here?
Ah, Captain Snelling. What a pleasure.
That's Chief Snelling now, Fordham. I don't expect you follow the workings of the department much these days, but I'd appreciate the proper address.
So nice to see that power hasn't gone to his head.
My apologies, Chief Snelling.
You haven't answered my question. What in blazes are you doing here?
Read about this case in the paper, thought I'd give it a look. I'm busy investigating the crime with actually give it a chance of being solved. Dropped in to say hello to my former colleagues. No. The middle one, definitely not. Let's go with read about the case in the paper.
The story was front page news. I couldn't resist coming to have a look for myself.
There's no respect for police business anymore, damn meddlers. This is an active crime scene, Fordham. Leave the premises immediately.
Work together, we can solve this in no time. You can try and keep me away, but I'm not giving up. Let's go with conciliatory.
We could solve this case in no time if we work together, you know.
We don't need any help. Not even from former detectives. Parsons, I'm going back to the station. I want your report the minute you're done here. Understand?
Yes, sir.
That might actually
Now,
help.
don't get any funny ideas, Fordham. If you so much as breathe on anything in here, I'll have you arrested for tampering with a crime scene. Do I make myself clear?
How's the baby then?
Sure, whatever you say, Chief.
Keep your nose where it belongs, or you'll have me to answer to.
Uh-huh.
I suppose it's reassuring that even in this crazy, ever-changing world, you can always count on Snelling to be a complete ass.
You heard the chief. No snooping around. The sooner you get out of here, the better for all of us.
What's that?
An invitation to the Gascon Grand Dame's Ball. It seems it was held 2 nights ago at the Gascon Supper Club. Might be worth looking into, seeing as it's our only lead right now.
Okay.
No title. I doubt it's a diary. People rarely leave those things laying out in the open. Definitely too young to be Miss Lathan. Perhaps a relative?
Mm-hmm.
Judging by these books, Miss Lathan was quite the fan of poetry. Let's just hope her taste was better than Madame Dupre's.
Oh, Madame Dupre's taste was atrocious.
You have to hand it to her. Miss Lathan certainly had a unique taste in fashion. I bet you could see her coming a mile away.
Yeah, that's not going to go down well.
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
Well, you're not the Dixie guy, so I didn't actually have to deck you last case but one.
Is there anything you can tell me about Desiree Lathan?
I'm afraid not. You don't have clearance in this investigation.
And there's nothing I can say to convince you otherwise?
My superiors would be very upset if they knew I was breaking the rules. I'm sorry.
I think the operative phrase in this instance is if they knew. We need to find a way to get Parsons out of here. Maybe we should visit Upton at the station.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
Thank you for the hint. Let's go chat with Constance. Let's go in the supper club and the police station. Yeah, let's get as much as I can out of the cops on the scene.
I didn't imagine we'd be coming back here in this lifetime.
Fordham, have you solved the case already?
Don't I wish? I haven't even gotten started.
Well, I'm here if you need anything. Just be sure not to let Snelling see you.
Is he back yet?
He arrived a few minutes ago. I expect he'll be sequestered in his office today, so you shouldn't have to worry too much.
Good to know.
What's the flag?
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's...
What?
Any updates on the Harris baby?
He's back home and doing well thanks to you.
I'm glad to hear it.
You did an impressive job. I admit I was a bit concerned about how you'd fare after months of taking it easy. But I suppose detective work is like riding a bicycle.
It's a guaranteed way to end up with a broken arm.
Okay.
I see the Gazette has caught wind of this supposed mass murderer.
Yes, Snelling has been positively fuming about it. Between that and the Lathan case being publicized on the same day, it's been a nightmare for the department.
Any idea how they got the information?
I don't think anyone in the department has spoken to the press. Maybe they just have some very good reporters.
So, is it serious? Should we be concerned?
3 murders is nothing to sneeze at, but all the victims have been men in Chumley. If that changes, then things might start getting urgent.
Isn't that just the way it is? You can bet they'd have already caught the bastard if the first body had turned up in Leon.
So, my character, Miles, has been taking a soporific every night. And murders have been turning up every night. And last night, he'd stopped taking the soporific, but he got blind drunk instead. And another person got murdered. I'm really getting quite worried about who's killing people.
Have you been able to find any leads on Bill's death?
Have you?
Not yet, no.
I don't want to get your hopes up, but I may have something.
Oh?
The man you're looking for, he was burgling a flower shop, right?
Yes.
I couldn't help but notice that in the last 2 cases you've had, plants have been used to drug people. It may just be a coincidence, but I also think it's something worth looking out for. If it becomes a pattern, there's a good chance it might be related.
But 2 different people did the drugging.
True, but in both cases, they learned from someone else.
It's a stretch, but it's better than nothing. I'll take it into consideration.
You're a mad poisoner on the loose.
Back to work, I see.
Yes, well, the coffee shop holiday had to end eventually. I'm gonna have to find someplace else to meet you. The higher-ups are getting suspicious.
To be honest, it was a bit wretched there. I won't miss it.
Well then, Mr. Big Bug, you can have the honor of choosing the next place. Under a bridge somewhere, perhaps.
Case of the Phantom Pharmacist.
I'm having some trouble with Officer Parsons.
You and everyone else who's ever met him. What's the problem?
He's keeping me away from the Latham crime scene.
Of course. He's one of the most loyal to Snelling.
Any suggestions for how I might get him away so I can look around?
I might have an idea. There are several reported crimes that haven't been assigned yet, and Parsons is itching to prove his investigative chops. He'd probably abandon his post for a good enough lead and a chance to impress Snelling.
Up to no good. You impress me.
Department politics are something of a specialty of mine.
Up to no good. Ouch.
About getting Parsons.
All right. The body of a young man was found in the Hodgman River by the Gascon docks this morning. A woman in Chumley reported hearing a single gunshot in her neighbor's apartment last night. There was a deadly explosion at a factory in Worcester that may be linked to sabotage. And that's it for right now. Any of those strike your fancy?
Well, we think the body at the docks might be down to the mass murderer. The reported gunshot, well, it was in Chumley, so frankly, Factory explosion, I think, sounds potentially chewy. Parson is a cop, you do have his reputation for shooting them. Case of the Hidden Herbalist. Yes, I like the Hidden Herbalist.
Give me the details about the factory explosion.
The owner of the Hawkins Steelworks reported an explosion at his factory that killed 2 of his workers. He says he's been getting several threatening letters about his current project.
And so he suspects someone has sabotaged the operation?
Yes, likely the Redites. Do you think Parsons will be interested?
I keep reading that as Reddix. Yeah, let's
Sounds
go
good.
with that.
Let's go with that one.
All right, I'll send out the report as soon as we're done talking.
Okay.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
I really don't want to put them on the trail of the mass murderer because I have a bad feeling.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone reading those books. I'm half convinced they're purely decorative. Prime Minister Atwood, watching over the department with his signature scowl. The old Jack and Stars. Sure was nice when that sign didn't apply to us.
Right then. Let's head back to the crime scene and see if I can get something out of it.
Damn, looks like Parsons didn't take the bait.
Damn.
He must not have considered that case enough to prove himself to Snelling.
Damn. It'd have to be the murderer, isn't it? Bugger. He's gonna get himself killed.
Pretty sure that connects Upton to everyone on the police network, including Giles at the jail. Lucky her.
Actually getting on
Got a
the ball.
moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make...
Right. I need a different case.
Unfortunately...
Nothing worse than a picky investigator.
Thank you?
All right, these are the, as of yet, unassigned crimes. The body of a... a woman in... And that's any of those...
Let's go with the murder.
Tell me more about the body found at the docks.
An unidentified man in his 20s was found in the river near the docks. The dock worker who reported it said that the body was bloated and decomposing. He must have been in the river several days. Dr. Edwards performed a post-mortem and determined the cause of death to be a blow to the head.
I see. Certainly leaves a lot of questions.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
You see, I would be.
No, actually.
All right, which one?
Okay, so what's the report?
Let's hear about the gunshot.
Ethel Williamson reported hearing a sound she described as a single gunshot coming from her neighbor's apartment last night. She said she had been hearing arguments over the past several weeks, and there may have been domestic violence involved. When she knocked on the door, she got no answer, but she said she noticed the distinct smell of flowers.
Intriguing.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
Stop Parsons, I'm going.
No, actually, let's try another one.
All right, which one?
Tell me more about...
And the doctor...
I see.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
Let's go with that.
Sounds good.
All right, I'll send out the report as soon as we're done talking.
Oh...
That's it for now.
I'm gonna have
Better
to
get back to it then.
To the gun shop with the flower scent, aren't I? This is not gonna work. And then Parsons will turn up dead, and then it'll all be my fault, and then I won't feel guilty. It's sod it. I am.
Damn, looks like
Damn it. Gimme.
Got a moment?
Yes?
Fuck a damn blast.
Unfortunately...
Nothing? All right, these... A woman in Chum... Any of those...
Yeah, let's go for
Let's
it.
hear about...
Ethel will... When she...
Intriguing.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
Well,
Sounds
we don't have
good.
any other
Let's go with
option.
that one.
All right, I'll send out the report as soon as we're done talking.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
He didn't want the chewy cases. He didn't want the ones that actually are quite impressive. No, the single gunshot in the rough area of town. That apparently will do it. Thank God for that.
Looks like Parsons took the bait. Now maybe we can finally have a look around the crime scene.
Oh dear. Right, you. Let's have a chat.
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
Why do you sound like Lieutenant Commander Data?
Is there anything you can tell me about Desiree Lathan?
I couldn't really say.
Come now, I'm trying to help this investigation. Any small detail would be useful.
Well, I haven't really looked over the crime scene too much. It's rather gruesome, you see.
Is the body still here?
Yes, what's left of it at any rate. Miss Lathan was only identified by the tattoo on her foot.
I see.
Oh. Now what was that about hands and feet falling off?
Has there been much progress here?
Snelling and Parsons examined the scene, that's all I know.
Do you think I might have a look, now that the initial investigation's been conducted?
I'm afraid that's out of the question, sir. I have my orders.
Officer Kane, I'm trying to aid this investigation. There may have been something overlooked by the others.
Because they're arseholes.
If Parsons were to catch you, my career would be over.
Trust me, he won't be back for some time. I swear on my honor as a former member of the New Britannia Police.
All right, I suppose you can go in for a moment, but please be quick about it.
Thank you, Officer Kane. I promise this will stay between us.
I just love rookie officers. They're so gullible. I once got one to shine my shoes for a week after convincing him it was department policy. Good times.
Okay, who are you, sir?
How long have you been on the force, officer?
2 months, sir.
And how's it treating you so far?
This is where I was meant to be.
That's good to hear.
Parsons mentioned you used to be a detective?
I was, yes, for 15 years. It wasn't always easy, but I loved every minute of it.
Parsons goes on about how he's got his eye on becoming a detective, but I don't know if I'd be able to handle it.
Is that right?
Yes. He's up for review. I think he's trying to impress Snelling to improve his chances.
Do you enjoy working with Officer Parsons?
If I'm being honest, he can be a bit much sometimes.
Trust me, you're not the only one who feels that way. I didn't have much interaction with him when I was a detective, but the few times I did weren't very pleasant.
I could tell he doesn't seem to care much for you. Although I don't think he cares much for anyone except the chief, and that's only because he's the one who gives out the promotions.
Workplace romance. And welcome back, Knight. Hope you're feeling a little bit better. Actually, I hope you're feeling a lot better, but expect you're feeling a bit better.
What was Chief Snelling doing here?
He was inspecting the crime scene.
Yes, but why was he involved? Is there something special about it that would require the chief of police to look into it?
That's true.
Well, someone thought it might be related to the big case we're not supposed to talk about.
You mean the mass murderer?
Yes, sir. I could see why the chief is upset that the news has gotten out.
And is it related?
No, I don't believe so. But the news reports have been getting the public on edge.
Of course. The less information there is, the easier it is for rumors to start spreading.
Exactly. Chief Snelling has a lot of fires to put out.
If that's the case, it's too bad he didn't get to Ms. Lathan in time.
Thanks for your time, officer.
Not a problem.
Every minute of it, especially the bit where I got away with my partner's murder by staging a fake burglary. Oh, what a giveaway. Oh, sorry to hear that, Knight. Mass murderer. No, I mean the large trunk Snelling has in his office. Ow! Fishy.
No title.
It's not going to have it. Let's have a look at the crime scene. Oh, shit.
That's certainly a pungent aroma. I can see why the officer stuck to the living room.
Surprisingly modest quarters for a grande dame. You'd never guess she could buy out the likes of you and me 1,000 times over.
Oh, God. Guy. So the first case was involved a botanist. And the second case involved plant-based drugging and gave me information on spiritual phenomena, including spontaneous human combustion. The third case, spontaneous human combustion. I'm not convinced Miles exists. This ain't good.
Odd. Another pile of ashes under the bed. Looks as though whatever she kept underneath got burned too. Or it could be that whatever was under the bed is what caught fire in the first place. Although,
thanks for
no
cheering.
Of what started.
It's nice to be appreciated.
All that's left is a small piece
Did
of
you
cloth.
hear that?
Might as well take it.
Thank you, Techie, for
The
alerting
cloth
me to
appears
that
to have
chair.
some oily residue on it. Interesting.
My oily rag collection. And indeed, Heidel. Right.
Looks like this one barely managed to survive. Pity. It looked like a nice work of art. The flames must have been fairly high to be able to stain the ceiling like that.
Thanks for cheering. It's nice to be appreciated.
That's a nice
Did you
portrait
hear
of Miss
that,
Lathan.
Drut?
Too bad it was damaged by the fire. The area where the artist's signature should be has been singed and is unreadable. Too bad.
But the date is still legible. It's from this year.
So I know what she looked like.
Some crumpled up letters. They look to be of the romantic variety.
They're from the same person. One Peter Andrews.
It's always sad to see a case of unrequited love. I'm thinking we should find out who this Peter Andrews is.
Yep.
Good idea. Now, are you finally willing to admit that looking through rubbish does yield results sometimes?
Fine, you win. But I don't think I envy your prize.
Dearest Desiree, I offer you my heart, though I am sadly unable to offer you my hand. Oh, that circumstances were different. Why must life and love both be so cruel? I must continue to love and admire you from afar. I can only hope these feelings are mutual. Once again, I must declare my love for you, though you've not yet responded to any of my letters. Ugh. I maintain hope that you care for me as I do for you. Oh yeah, clearly. I remain ever faithful. Call upon me and I will rush to your side. We will embrace as Mr. and Mrs. Andrews at long last. Concerned now. So that was in July, that was in September. What happened between the two? Where that one, he couldn't marry her, and that one he can. If we find a copy of his to his coin mistress rewired. Yes! Oh, stalker. I mean, we're making an assumption that that's her, to be honest.
Ashes to ashes and all that. I'm glad I was buried. Cremation always seemed a bit too hot to handle.
Now's not the time for jokes, Bill.
Are you serious? Death is the best time for jokes. Otherwise, it's all just a bunch of boo-hoo-hoo this and wow-wow-wow that. And trust me, there's plenty of that in life. Hell, you'd know better than anyone.
All right. Just shut it for a bit while I look over the crime scene, would you? I need to concentrate.
I don't think Desiree will be able to give us a hand with this investigation.
Bill?
What? I thought it was funny.
Yeah, this, for something that's basically not HD graphics. Yeah, it's not all of her burned. Now, I don't know if you were around, Knight, when I was looking at the books on spiritual phenomena, but spontaneous human combustion, they list hands and feet not burned, or usually falling off.
Ugh, greasy, fetid, stinking ashes. Who knew the human body was capable of producing such a disgusting byproduct?
I'm surprised the coroner hasn't taken the body away yet.
Probably because there isn't much of a body left to take. Either that, or Dr. Edwards knows better than to deal with something like this.
That's extremely unlike him. He'd jump at the chance to examine this body. Perhaps we should allow him the pleasure.
I hope you're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting. Alas, poor Desiree, a woman of infinite riches, of tastes most fancy. Well, where's all your money now? Come to think of it, that question might be worth answering.
Okay.
This one's clean. Well, aside from the fact that the rest of the leg is burned off. There's a tattoo on her ankle. It says, "Dancing through life." Hate to break it to her, but that dance is over.
Odd sort of person to have a tattoo on her ankle. Just ashes, ashes, ashes. Yeah,
There's a letter in here.
Dear Miss Lathan,
This just keeps getting more and more interesting.
letters
The law firm of Usher and Price isn't too far from here. I think it's definitely worth paying him a little visit.
Usher and Price. Seriously, dudes? This letter is to inform you that we've received your request to make changes to your beneficiary as indicated in your last will and testament. Please come to the law offices of Usher and Price at 72 Cauldron Street, Worcester, so we may review the documents and make the necessary edits. Okay.
Just a pile of ashes.
So yeah, there was definitely an oily rag involved there. I'm... Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If the women don't get them, the whiskey must. Uh-huh.
Doesn't look as though this fireplace has been used in a long time. I suppose we can rule it out as the source.
Yeah.
As much as I like this painting, it looks as though Miss Lathan was in the middle of writing something.
It's an article for Brentwell magazine.
Oh, what?
Igniting the fires within. A bit on the nose, wouldn't you say? Classic Brentwell. They have a reputation for making their writers go to extremes for their articles, all for the sake of entertainment.
Perhaps we should pay their offices a visit, see exactly what it was Miss Lathan was doing for them.
We're all familiar with the idea of an inner fire, a term usually applied to our sense of passion or determination. What if that inner fire was of a more physical nature? That is to say, if each of us had the capability to light a real fire within our bodies. I've read Firestarter, this does not end well. Right. So yeah, I've got all sorts of shit going. Okay. The will change was in August, which is when she last heard from her stalker.
Was there someone else in the room just now? I thought I heard you talking.
Oh, no. It's just sometimes I think aloud when investigating crime scenes.
I see.
I'm a nutter.
Good save. We don't need any more police officers thinking you're insane.
Exactly, Chrono. Now that's what I'm thinking. No, that's not the diary. She's got aloe vera, which is used to treat burns. This slightly worries me. Oh no, it's July and September. Yes, you're right. My apologies. We don't know who that is. So, where have we got? We can go to Usher and Price. Still can't believe they've used that. The Gascoigne Supper Club. Or Brentwell Magazine. Shall we start with the lawyers and find out who missed out? Because I think Fishy was right.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the law offices of Usher and Price. May I help you?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator, and I'm looking for Jonas Usher.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Usher is not seeing anyone today. If it's a matter of urgent legal importance, you could see Mr. Price.
Well, I think it's more a matter of, did your boss kill somebody? But hey.
The plaque says it's a portrait of Thomas Usher. Looks like a real go-getter. Seems like they've got some kind of modern message delivery service in here. Of all the things to spend your money on.
Afraid he's not in the office today. His house fell down. Is she?
That pipe really clashes with the rest of the decor in here.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
Why isn't Mr. Usher seeing anyone today?
If I may ask, what is the reason for Mr. Usher's refusal to see anyone today?
He has a rather important trial starting tomorrow, and doesn't want to run the risk of falling ill.
Falling ill?
Mr. Usher is very particular about his health. Very particular.
I see.
Is there a single sane person in this entire... Nobody's quite on an even keel. Which is making me think that, yeah, this may all just be facets of the not on an even keel at all Miles's brain. Would it be possible to leave a message? I need to speak to Mr. Usher about Desiree Lathan.
Sir, it is of the utmost importance that I speak with Mr. Usher.
And as I said, he isn't taking visitors today.
But it's in regards to his client, Desiree Lathan. Or should I say, former client.
Miss Lathan found another attorney?
No, I'm sorry to be the one to have to inform you, but she's dead.
Dead? I had no idea.
No? It was in today's newspaper.
I haven't read it yet. Mr. Usher forbids it in the office.
But surely he's read it. Just because he forbids you reading the paper in the office.
No, I mean he forbids the presence of newspapers in the office. He fears they bring in outside germs.
I see.
In any case, if what you say is true, I'll need some sort of proof.
I suppose just bringing in a copy of the newspaper is out of the question, then. We'll have to find another way.
Okay, I have a document for Mr.
Perhaps
Usher.
Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh? What's that?
Letter to him from Desiree Lathan.
A letter from Mr. Usher to his client, Desiree Lathan.
What? That's private correspondence. How did you get that?
It was evidence I found at a crime scene.
And how is it relevant?
The crime scene in question was Miss Lathan's own bedroom, where she was found burned to death.
That's quite a claim, Mr. Fordham. I can assure you that Mr. Usher deals primarily with facts. Right now, the only fact this letter proves to me is that you somehow rummaged through Miss Lathan's possessions and acquired it.
He does have a point. We'll need something a bit more persuasive.
Death certificate, perhaps?
I actually don't have anything to show.
Right. Please, stop.
Right,
I appreciate your time.
Fine.
Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Don't. I just now want to envision sticking the hand in the pneumatic tube so it goes through to the guy who's phobic about germs. Because I can see that going down like the proverbial lead balloon. But I'd also kind of want to do it. Okay. Let's go. Let's see if there's anything Constance can give me about the autopsy. As in why there isn't one.
Got a moment? Oh,
Yes, but
have a moment to go.
I'm afraid you're on your own this. If they find out I'm helping you, it won't end well for either of us.
Understood.
I'll still be here.
That's it for now.
Better get back.
Uh-huh. Okay. Right, whatever. You don't suppose the coroner's behind that? That's not what I meant to click. Dude, stop it. Go away. That way. I actually meant to go there. I'm just wondering if I can get behind the door.
Miles, are you crazy? If you go wandering around the department for no good reason, Snelling will have you thrown in the jail.
Yeah, right. I was hoping the coroner would be behind the door, but never mind. Okay, let's go to Brentwell magazine then. I'm not taking the hand, and I'm not going to stick the hand in the pneumatic tube.
Hello there. Are you here to drop off an article?
No, actually, I'm a private investigator. The name's Miles Fordham.
How exciting. You must have so many interesting stories.
You could say that, yes.
Please, come in, come in. I'm Alan Brentwell, owner and publisher of Brentwell magazine.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
No, you're enthusiastic, aren't you, sir?
Confessions of a Steam Addict by Ezra Bartley. I think I'm better off not knowing. For Whom the Bell Almost Tolled by Suki Snobs. Fascinating stuff. For the publisher of a sensationalist rag, Brentwell is awfully well read. Assuming he actually has read all those books, of course. Empty. Too bad.
Everyone's got boxes. Every single place has a box.
I can only begin to imagine how many lurid and salacious articles are kept in those cabinets.
I'm amazed Bill hasn't just read every single one of them.
Brentwell has a front row seat to all the horrible things he might want to write about in his magazine. Useful for getting to those hard-to-reach places. In my case, that's everywhere.
Oh, I have a horrible feeling somebody's going out that window. Right, let's have a chat.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Brentwell.
You get those
Wonderful!
chairs there.
It's so seldom I get to answer questions.
Oh my god. It's a young Sir Derek Jacobi.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan. Oh, why, she came to me a few weeks ago in response to an ad I took out requesting articles. She told me she had an idea readers would love. We agreed on 10 crowns per paragraph, and she was on her way. Come to think of it, I haven't heard from her in a few days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's keep that little tidbit to ourselves for a bit.
Tell me about Brentwell magazine.
We're a monthly publication focusing on both fiction and non-fiction pieces. My dream was to have a magazine that was well-respected and educational.
Yeah, that worked.
But sadly, it seems today's audiences are much more interested in reading about sightings of giant bat creatures or mysterious buried treasures. Such a pity.
I hear you have a bit of a reputation for making your reporters do questionable things for their articles.
You are mistaken, Mr. Fordham. I don't force my writers to do anything. They seem to have this notion that the more extreme their research, the more authentic the articles will be.
What sort of extremes are we talking about here?
We had one writer who attempted to heighten the sensation of fear she wanted to express in her story. Damn near decapitated herself by sticking her head through an opening at the clock tower at St. Denis Cathedral. Ugh. Thankfully, she made it out alive. It would have been quite the predicament if she hadn't. Especially considering that was our most popular article last year. Oh, people have such odd taste.
Fear boosting, huh? Oh, wait.
What made you decide to start this business?
Yeah, please.
I always wanted to be a journalist. I never had much luck with any of the local papers, though. So I decided to start my own. I admit it's not exactly what I wanted, but I like to think Brentwell magazine has found its own unique voice.
Voice? More like a gurgling scream.
Okay, let's jump both in.
Were you aware that Miss Lathan is dead?
What? No, I had no idea. What happened?
I'm not exactly sure. She seems to have burned to death under mysterious circumstances.
Mysterious circumstances?
Most of her body was burnt to ash, but there's very little fire damage around her. It's as though she herself just caught fire.
Oh, that sounds positively ghastly! Oh dear.
Is something wrong?
I just remembered. The article she was writing. Dear God. I hope she didn't go too far with her research.
Yeah, Miles, I can't help thinking you should have uttered a sentence before talking to this chap, describing every detail of the crime scene. And that phrase is off the record. You are gonna go down for talking to the dodgy newspaper.
What exactly was Desiree's article about?
I'm not entirely sure. She merely came to me with the proposal.
She didn't tell you what that idea was?
She did, but I wasn't sure what to make of it.
Please, Mr. Brentwell, stop stalling and tell me what she was writing about.
It was about spontaneous human combustion.
What do you know about spontaneous human combustion?
That's the thing. I don't know very much at all. It sounded interesting enough. That's why I accepted Miss Lathan's proposal to write the article about it.
But what do you know about it?
Only that it's a mysterious phenomenon in which a person catches fire spontaneously and burns to death. It sounds exactly as you described Miss Lathan's condition.
Yeah.
Do you know what Miss Lathan's research on the subject involved?
Only the one contact I gave her, a Miss Angela Maxwell at the Spectre Society in Gascone.
Billy?
The Spectre Society, huh? I shouldn't be surprised to hear that name again.
Are you a member?
Actually, I am.
Then I suggest you do some research there. There's bound to be something relevant in that curious library of theirs.
Thank you. Perhaps I will.
Did already read that book.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Brentwell.
The pleasure is all mine.
Interested to see whether or not that actually carries over. Find out about spontaneous human combustion at the Spectre Society. Okay. Okay, Knights. Sleep well, and I hope you feel better in the morning. Cool stream, by the way. Yeah! Oh, yes, you didn't see the Spectre Society, did you? Oh, God. They're loons. They're absolute loons.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
Any new messages
There's
in the
quite a
guest
few.
book? Oh, no, I don't get to see the guest book now. Right. We have Spirits in the Ether, Secrets of the Tarot, The Mysteries of Spontaneous Combustion, What Lies Beyond the Veil, Mediums, Gateway to the Spirit Realm, Voodoo in New Britannia, Terrors of the Deep with the Giant Squid, and that one still freaks me out! Because everything else is a spiritual phenomenon. What in Satan's name is this thing doing here? First-hand account of an encounter with what is thought to be a giant squid is provided by Benjamin Roberts, first mate aboard the Althea. It was close to dusk. We were just off the coast of Madagascar when the lookout directed us to the source of a terrible bellowing from the port bow. Reaching from the depths was the leviathan called the sperm whale, clearly in distress. Upon closer inspection, we noticed the poor beast was being smothered by gargantuan arms, the likes of which I've never seen. A panic erupted among the crew. No shit! And several began shouting about sea beasts and krakens. Meanwhile, the whale continued its futile struggle. I couldn't help but feel pity for the creature as its haunting cries echoed through the air. The captain ordered an immediate change of course, and we were soon on our way, leaving the whale to its horrid fate. Yeah, that's true. Cryptozoology does often go hand in hand with this sort of thing. What else do we have? The Art of the Seance. Metempsychosis, which was the reincarnation thing from the last one. Secrets of Astral Projection worries me. I know there's 5 cases, otherwise I'd be wondering if we were going to have one per book. But
this all sounds strangely familiar, but spontaneous human combustion can't be real, can it? Then again, sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one.
If spontaneous human combustion is your simple solution, you need a new solution. Was she an alcoholic? So the victims are chronic alcoholics, usually elderly females. The hands and feet usually fall off. But it was only her knees down, not her feet. The fire has caused very little damage to things around the body, but something under the bed got burned. Residue of greasy and fetid ashes is left behind. Well, that covers it. It can't be real, says the ghost. This is true. Yes, I need to know my market here, don't I? Okay. Angie?
Could I ask you about some things, Miss Maxwell?
Certainly, darling.
Have a crow strapped to your head?
Are you familiar with a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Yes, she came to see me just last week. She told me she was doing research for an article she was writing for Brentwell magazine.
What sort of research?
She asked me a few questions and looked at my books. That was all. She wasn't here for very long.
And what was she researching?
Something about spontaneous human combustion, I believe.
Yeah. That's true. I think it's more the feathers that was throwing me.
What can you tell me about spontaneous human combustion?
I'm not overly familiar with the subject, but you are welcome to look at it if it will help.
Oh, okay.
I may, but I'd like to know what your understanding of it is.
Well, I believe it is when the human body inexplicably catches fire and burns. It usually occurs among elderly women who drink to excess, and very little fire damage is caused around the body. That's really all I know, darling. It's not a very agreeable subject for study now, is it?
Desiree's dead.
Did you know that Desiree Lathan is dead?
What? My God, no. I didn't. What happened to her?
She was found burned to death in her bed.
How awful.
Do you have any idea how this may have happened?
There are a number of possibilities, but if she was in the middle of researching spontaneous human combustion, and then to have this happen, it can't be a coincidence.
Are you suggesting she herself was a victim of spontaneous combustion?
One need only compare the circumstances of her death with the facts, darling.
She can't be serious, can she?
Thank you for the information. It was very enlightening.
It was my pleasure, darling.
She is dodgy as hell, but she has also been quite useful. And we know that she's serious about pretty much everything she talks about. So reasonably sure she's talking complete twaddle. She envisioned a spirit that I have absolutely nothing to do with. Right.
I'll be going now.
May the spirits guide you to that which you seek.
Really, really, really don't want to steal the hand, but think that might be a thing.
Nothing new to ask him about right now.
Oh, I can, however, go straight to the crime scene. Okay.
I'm afraid I need to have another look inside Miss Lathan's room, Officer Kane.
All right, but please be quick about it.
Is Officer Abel around? Is there anything else I could look at? Because I could move stuff in... Boom. God, I can't take that.
Miles, do you really want to go carrying around those stinking ashes in your pocket? It'll take ages to get the smell out.
Good point. I'll need to find something to carry them in.
Oh God, oh no! Miles, no!
Nothing else of interest in there.
And I can't take the waste bin, thank the gods.
You have to hand it to her.
Oh no. I'm gonna have to go home. Yeah.
I've managed to survive the wild streets of New Britannia.
Good to see you've made it back in one piece.
I'm assuming that the young officer will wonder why I was stealing the hat. You haven't got the bottle I
Addie?
could borrow?
What is it, Miles?
Addie, please know that I'm deeply sorry for my behavior last night. I'll do everything I can to make it up to you. Would you like me to get some new begonias?
I don't need pretty flowers or pretty words, Miles. I just want things to go back to how they were. That's really all the apology I require.
What have you been up to lately?
Nothing particularly exciting. My usual clients have been scheduling appointments, and I've been trying to get some new ones as well. In my free time, I've been catching up on my reading.
Anything good?
Yes, the conclusion to the dissembling mechanism was just published in Brentwell magazine last week.
What's that?
James Penstroke's latest serial. I wanted to read it to you, but you haven't been around much lately.
Perhaps I'll take a look now that I can actually concentrate again.
Yes, you could read it to me. I wouldn't mind hearing it again. It would certainly be a nicer way to spend your time than going out drinking.
You're looking especially lovely today, Addie.
Miles, don't flirt with me. Not now.
I wouldn't push my luck with her, Miles. She hasn't completely forgiven you.
I'm just getting that slightly. Yeah, no.
Was Desiree Lathan a client of yours by any chance?
No, but plenty of the other grand dames used to gossip about her.
What sort of things would they say?
Usually they'd comment about how much she'd had to drink the night before. I got the impression she was quite the tippler. I hope you're not planning on following her example.
That would require me to burn to death in our bed.
Then I stand by my previous statement.
I'll let you get back to your book.
I like Addie. I can relate. You thought New Begonias was the name of the city. Shh. Okay.
Pretty, but I'm glad I don't have a sense of smell anymore. It's admirable. That's a fun little apparatus Adelaide got you. Very soothing.
Watching it spin long enough puts me right to sleep.
I'd say that's really more the soporifics doing.
Yeah, but I don't take that anymore, so no.
Wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles?
So?
Right.
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
It's empty.
Good riddance, I say.
No, but it's empty.
It's empty.
Good riddance, I say.
Damn, okay.
You should have let me be buried wearing my hat. At least it wouldn't be gathering dust like it is now.
If I'd done that, it would be dust right now.
Heh, fair point.
I can't take Bill's hat. Damn, I was hoping I could. Yes, there's nothing in.
I can see why Adelaide calls that plant Miles Jr. It's been so long since you used that desk. Bollingworth Ale, my favorite!
Right.
Building those model ships was... Hopefully it'll be a... That makes me wonder what old Mrs. Handbrook is up to these days.
I just had a vision of if those were the begonias he took a whiz in. Right, so there's nothing in here I can use to transport ashes illegally.
I'll see you later, Addie.
Take care of yourself out there.
Yeah, you're gonna need some world-class chocolates for this. Place I haven't been yet. Really?
Nobody's bothered clearing this table yet, it seems.
Really?
Well, if no one's cleaned up, you might as well do them the favor. The bridge to Lyon overlooking the House of Parliament. I suppose that seeing that helps the patrons of this club put on airs. That painting depicts a hand dropping a bunch of blood-soaked silver coins into another hand. Definitely sets the bar for the type of people who come here, I'd say.
We have... Oh, is it? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
These are all high-end foo-foo liqueurs and cordials. You couldn't pay me to drink that rubbish.
Thanks, Fish.
Excuse me, miss?
Oh, well, hello there, handsome. I've never seen you around here before. Care to join me for a drink?
I need to keep a clear head while I'm on duty.
Thank you, but I'm on duty.
On duty? What are you, a cop?
Force of habit. I'm a private investigator, actually.
Oh, not much better, if you ask me.
The name's Miles Fordham, and you are?
Charlotte Robineau.
Pleasure. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
I suppose not. It would help pass the time.
Okay. Well, there's a cougar right there if you wanted to jump in. Didn't notice.
Were you here for the Grand Dame's ball the other night?
Of course, we all were. Well, except for Laura. Terrible business.
You mean Laura Dupre?
The very same. Have you met?
I have. In fact, I investigated her attempted murder.
Is that right? I heard she ended up in jail for torturing her servants.
Yes, it was quite disturbing.
I didn't think Laura was capable of such a thing. She always seemed so kind. I guess we all have our dark secrets.
Does that apply to you as well, Miss Robineau?
If I told you, then it would no longer be a secret, would it?
Fair point.
Yes, and anybody who wants to use a VOD to catch up on that conclusion. You got some dark places coming.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
I knew her, yes.
When did you last speak to her?
Oh, it's been ages. She and I haven't had much to do with each other for a while.
Why is that?
It's really not important. We just didn't see eye to eye on a few things.
I drank brandy.
Was she at the Grand Dame's ball?
She drank
Yes,
whiskey.
she was. Drinking up a storm, as usual. Desi really knew how to enjoy herself.
How much did she drink?
Oh, I don't know. She used to outmatch me, and I can handle quite a bit.
What can you tell me about Desiree's death?
Just what I've read in the papers. She burned to death. It's horrible. She certainly didn't deserve to die in such a gruesome way.
Did she have any enemies? Anyone who might have wanted to do her harm?
No. Everyone loved her.
Except you?
Mr. Fordham, I said we haven't had much to do with each other. That doesn't mean I didn't care for her. Now please, let's drop the subject.
Okay.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Why, Mr. Fordham, I hardly know you. Well, that said, I'm always open to making new friends.
Ooh, watch out, Miles. I think she's getting ready to pounce.
Wife would already kill you.
You've really got a great sense of fashion and style. All the other Grand Dames must be jealous.
Oh, you.
Is the name Peter Andrews familiar to you?
Peter Andrews? Is he still around?
The eyebrow says
I'd
yes.
be able to tell you that if you told me who he is.
He's desperate. That's who he is. A lovesick fool who is obsessed with Desi. Sent her love letters all of the time.
Would you know where I can find him?
Why would you want to?
Because I want to question him about Miss Lathan's death.
I suppose that makes some sense. All I remember Desi telling me is that he worked at the Bank of Vespuccia, a clerk or some such. Imagine.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
And you're really disturbing to me.
Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to your drink.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I need to run away now. She's the most terrifying person I've encountered. Right, let's go back to the crime scene and do something unspeakable.
I'm afraid I need to...
All right.
Apologies to those of you who don't like looking at horrible burned remains.
Miles, really? You're going to carry the ashes around in a pewter mug?
It's vital to the investigation that we find out exactly what happened to the body. If anyone can tell us for certain, it's Dr. Edwards.
Fair enough. I suppose this isn't the most unpleasant thing you've carried around before. Remember that time we had to go looking for that murder victim's missing head?
I'd really rather not, actually.
Eek. Eek. And in fact, eek.
Ugh. The smell from the bedroom is getting worse. I don't know how much longer I can stand it.
Nothing new to ask him about right now.
But I think that implies that that's the last time I need to go in there for a while. So... I really don't want to use the ashes to prove that she's dead. I think that would be a really, really bad thing. Wonder if I can get her to call the coroner.
Lord, what is...
Private investigation is a dirty job, Upton. You know that. Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
Can I talk to... Yes,
Would it be possible for me to access the mortuary?
The mortuary? What for?
I'd like to consult with Dr. Edwards.
All right, but be careful. Make sure you don't let Snelling see you back there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
I love how the person at the back there is just, whatever. That's what I'm hoping.
Dr. Edwards' lab was always a fascinating place to learn about death. A bit less so now that I'm quite the expert.
Oh, did I miss cleaning up some bit of that last corpse? Oh, Fordham, what brings you down here?
Hello, Edwards. I was wondering if I could pick your brain.
It's over there.
Yes, of course. There's one in a jar over there, and I may have another one around here somewhere.
That coroner humor never gets old, does it?
Anyway, let me know what you want to discuss. This fellow's not going anywhere.
Yes, I was sincerely hoping that ashes to get the doctor's report were going to be the way that we were going, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Assorted lab equipment for setting things on fire or causing explosions. You know, the perfect way to pass the time. A fine example of well-developed deltoids, latissimus dorsi, and gluteus maximi. The brain is truly a fascinating organ, if only more people used it. I remember when Edwards used to keep his collection of preserved reproductive organs on this shelf. He must be getting soft in his old age. Or perhaps that's exactly what happened to his collection.
Ew.
I'm pretty sure I saw Edwards weighing his lunch on this once. Well, at least he died with a smile on his face. Sort of.
What's with the goggles?
It looks rather fresh. There's a plaque at the base of the jar that says H. Putnam. I feel sorry for the poor slob who has to clean that out. Seems to be empty for now. That's most definitely a good thing.
Oh my god. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the metalwork on the side of the autopsy table?
Edwards must have some very good friends in the department who have gotten this custom-made table. It does suit the room, though.
Ew. So many levels, ew.
You've seen one dissected torso, you've seen them all. It sure is a lot of rubbish crammed inside our upper bodies, isn't there? I wonder if Edwards ever got around to fixing this typewriter. The letter E being out of alignment always made his reports a nightmare to read.
Thus being able to make anything written on these things detectable. Okay. I just get the information, I don't get the actual...
It's important to keep your hands clean when dealing with dead bodies. After all, you never know where they've been. Until after the post-mortem exam, anyway. This provides the room with just the right amount of heat. Unlike the incinerators in the crematorium. Talk about overkill. I'd say being hooked up to that machine was the worst experience of my life. Except I was already dead at the time. Imagine a giant mosquito sucking out all your blood and then replacing it with formaldehyde. Not very pleasant.
Why were you aware of it?
That collection of stains, fluids, and other repugnant materials almost makes me homesick for the chum.
Yummy.
Nice pair of legs.
Okay.
Edwards keeps assorted bottles and specimens in there. Nothing too remarkable that I can see.
Okay. I've put it off long enough.
Not a stitch of clothing on him. As if having your torso ripped open and poked around inside weren't bad enough. There truly is no dignity in death.
Well, dead. You're
Pardon
not
me,
dignified.
Edwards.
Yes?
Keeping busy down here, Edwards?
Oh, you know me. I've always got my hands in someone.
Edwards always did have a way with words.
This postmortem was just a formality, really. The victim died of a gunshot wound to the head. Last week, though, we had a real kicker. An old man was brought in, and though he appeared quite dead, I was told that he'd been in a trance for over half a year. Apparently, he was hypnotized right at the point of death, and somehow managed to remain alive, in a fashion. In any case, when I began performing the exam, his entire body decayed into a putrefied mess within minutes. It was fascinating.
Should you really be giving me these details, Edwards?
Oh, hell, I don't mind telling you, Miles. It's not like you're going to go tell Snelling. Besides, you're the only one who's come to see me all week. Dead people make lousy conversationalists.
Hey, I take offense to that statement.
Oh, now... Facts in the case of Monsieur Valdemar, possibly? I think, is the thing he's referring to. Yay, Edgar Allan Poe.
I've got these human ashes from a crime scene.
Straight to the point. I knew I liked you for a reason, Fordham. Who do they belong to?
Desiree Lathan. She was a Gascon Grande Dame.
Oh, of course. I heard about that case. She was found burned in her home, wasn't she?
That's right.
I meant to go over there later today.
Well, then I suppose I've saved you the journey. Would you have a look at these?
Does this mean you're officially on the case?
Not as such. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention I'd been here.
Ah, clandestine operation. Sneaking around under Snelling's nose.
I don't have much of a choice. I'm pretty much persona non grata around here these days.
Well, you're always welcome in my mortuary. Preferably while still breathing, of course. Anyway, I'll just take those ashes off your hands. I'm sure your social life will soon improve.
Yes, I was making quite the impression.
This is an interesting choice of container.
It was either that or carry them around in my bare hands.
Well, I'm a bit busy right now, but I should have something for you within the next couple of hours. But you do realize the information won't be exclusive to you. I'll have to pass it on to the detectives on the case.
Naturally. That just gives me more of an incentive to work quickly.
Okay.
I found this piece of burned cloth at the crime scene. Could you take a look at it for me?
This is from the Lathan case?
It is, yes.
What do you need me to look at exactly?
It appears to have some oily residue on it.
Interesting. I'm afraid I have my hands full right now, but you can feel free to use my workbench if you'd like.
Cool.
To do what exactly?
Surely they taught you something about basic chemical analysis when you worked here.
Yes, well, I always let Bill handle the more technical aspects of our cases.
A real pity I'm not around to help you anymore, isn't it?
But I'll have a look and see if something comes back to me.
Okay.
You didn't examine Bill after he died, did you?
Ha! He wishes.
No, there was nothing inconclusive about his death. He died from impact after falling from the roof of a building. Why, was there something else I should have looked into?
No, I was just curious.
As fond as I am of Edwards, it would have been a bit much for him to go poking around my insides.
I shot him. You saying the gunshot wound was non-fatal? That's embarrassing.
So, Snelling got promoted to chief, did he?
Yes, not too long after you left. Personally, I think he took advantage of your situation to change things around here.
Was it really that much of a shock? Bill and I weren't exactly the most well-liked detectives on the force.
But you were respected. You two solved over 350 cases in 15 years. You were an institution.
Damn right we were. It's so easy for people to resent their more successful peers.
Ah, Edwards. Nice to know someone missed us.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
Okay. I think before I diddle around with any of that, however... Save... Right. Okay, let's do the workbench thing.
It's been ages since we got to do any type of chemical analysis. This will be grand!
Dr. Edwards, could you remind me what it is I'm meant to be doing?
Yes, of course. Go ahead and get as much of that oily residue from the cloth into the petri dish.
Okay.
Good. Now add some of the chemical reagent in the red bottle to the dish.
Aha! The oil turned orange.
Yes! The reagent has caused a chemical reaction and changed the oil's color. Isn't science fun?
Quite. But how does this help me?
I have some samples of the most common types of flammable oils on the shelf. Go ahead and add them to the test tubes. Good. Now simply check each one with the reagent to see if you can find a match.
And if I don't find one?
Then I suggest going out and looking for more oil samples.
So there's the suspiciously empty test tube there. No. Yeah, let's go with coal oil to start with, because it won't be.
Too bad, I would have bet on it being coal oil.
Kerosene. I love the noise. I'm sorry, I'm a child like that.
So much for kerosene being the culprit.
I can't envision it being that. Not unless a giant squid comes in this time.
Well, oil be damned. Looks like that's not a match. Oh, you love it.
Damn. Okay. So, not any of them. That's annoying. But not exactly unexpected. Get the hell out of Dodge. Thank you. Okay. Got the bank to check out.
Mr. Fordham.
Hello.
Ah, Mr. Dupre. Good to see you again. Is all well with you?
Oh
absolutely. Everything is wonderful. Because of you, the city has finally seen Laura Dupre for the monster she is. I cannot thank you enough.
I suppose you're welcome?
Now then, is there anything I can help you with?
Yes, I'm looking for Peter Andrews. I was told he worked here.
That's right. His desk is just over there.
Thank you, Mr. Dupre. Lovely seeing you.
Excellent. I wonder what would have happened had I tried to fit him up for the murder. Guessing I would have had a hell of a harder time.
What an absurd contraption. Imagine needing all those extra bits and bobs just to tell the time. I tried using one of these automatic money dispensers once, but I nearly got my arm stuck inside. They still got a long way to go. Yeah, impressive bit of hardware. It would take a criminal mastermind to rob this bank.
Oh, no.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. May I ask you a few questions?
Yes, I suppose that would be fine. Have a seat.
I'd rather stand, if it's all the same to you. Now then.
Right, why are you sending pervy letters to Grand Dames of the City?
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan? No, I can't say the name rings any bells.
Mm-hmm.
You say you don't know Miss Lathan. Would you care to explain these?
Why are they crumpled up? Did she throw them out? And why do you have them?
I just love catching people like this.
Relax, Mr. Andrews. Let's take this slowly. Now, I can assume by your reaction that these are your letters?
Yes, they are.
So why did you lie about knowing Miss Lathan?
I promised my wife I would cut off contact.
But you clearly didn't. The most recent letter is from 2 weeks ago.
Did she hire you?
Your wife? No, that's not why I'm here.
Ah, well, that's somewhat of a relief then.
Why?
So your wife knows about your correspondence with Miss Lathan?
Well, I don't know if you could really call it correspondence. Desiree never wrote back.
Stalking.
But yes, Peggy, That is to say, Margaret found out shortly after we married.
Exactly how many letters did this bounder send, I wonder?
At first, I tried to make it out that she was just a friend, but she found one of the more intimate ones while I was writing it.
I see. And what was her reaction?
Why are you
What
stalking
do you
this
think?
woman?
I still have the scar from the glass that she threw at me.
You're still married?
Oh, yes. Margaret comes from a very strict Catholic family. They would sooner she die than divorce. It hasn't been easy. She makes sure to take full advantage of the situation, always buying herself the most expensive jewelry and spending a fortune on food for those wretched cats. I swear, they're better fed than I am.
Where might I find Mrs. Andrews? I'd like to speak to her.
Our house is at 713 Longfellow Street, just at the edge of Gascon. But I warn you, it's a goddamn menagerie she's got. I'd stay away if you're averse to being covered in animal hair.
I'll take my chances.
Uh-huh. So, I suppose strict Catholic, so anti-divorce, obviously anti-murder as well, ideally. Otherwise, I'd suspect the wife got rid of her husband's crush.
Exactly what is your role here at the bank?
I'm the manager. I handle the new accounts, organize finance, that sort of thing.
Have you been here long?
Coming up on 17 years. Is this at all relevant to your investigation?
Anything could be, Mr. Andrews. Were you aware of Miss Lathan's death?
What? Desiree is dead?
Apparently you don't read the newspaper.
She was found burned to death in her bed.
You're lying. You have to be.
I'm afraid I'm not, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, Desiree.
Do you have any idea who might have wanted to kill her?
No, she was a marvelous woman.
Well, I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news, but at least you won't have to worry about writing any more letters.
That isn't funny, Mr. Fordham.
Yes, it was. Don't listen to him.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
Okay. I think it's getting quite... Oh god, it's getting late. So, I am going to save that there. And I'm going to call that for tonight. I think we have lots more to investigate in the case of the barbecued babe. So, thanks for watching. Much appreciated. Thank you very much for the raid. Any raiders in from night, if you're not already following me, feel free to stick me a follow. That would be appreciated. I'm now not around until Sunday, when I will be running Castle Falkenstein on the Hemp Plays channel. And yes, Fish, you can now go to bed. Well, you now go to sleep even. It's annoying to find out people have been posting from bed, although at least you're still awake, so that's a plus. I'm able to keep people up at night, apparently. That came out wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is a really, really intriguing game, and disturbing as all get out in so many directions. So, thank you very much. Have a good night. And I'll see as many as possible on Sunday. Bye-bye.